Hello? Hello? Okay, I'm live. Well, yeah, since I talked about it earlier, I discussed more on the Gaza flotilla situation and Gaza in general. Um, just for a brief moment, we're gonna actually watch something, which I think is it makes a very good point that I've had an issue with on a lot of platforms, or at least a lot of content creators that I used to follow. I've had like, and not even just the like popular ones either. It's just like a systemic problem on these platforms. Just like a issue of people just only looking out for themselves, only caring about what they have, you know, not about like the greater issue or anything. But we're gonna watch something. Yeah, they apparently seized. Last I heard, it was they seized 40 of the flotilla boats. They have over 50 of them, and apparently there is 12 still left. But I think they got them all. Got the 12 that were left as well. Um, but there are people who are protesting the imprisonment of all the people who were on the flotilla. We already know how Italy is pretty much crashing out, which is pretty good. The unions are doing good work there, from the sounds of it. And France is starting now. Even as they fall, they're already having economic issues, especially after them being pushed out by Africa, because their leaders were leeching off of Africa for quite a while. And they got pushed out, which is a good thing, but this is also culminating with the protest, the flotilla as well. But yeah, they've been protesting for a while because of that. And now this, their economic issues, and now this, and the rest of Europe is following. We already know how Ireland gets down. Um, I don't know I don't think it's to the extent of Italy yet, but they're doing demonstrations as well. I mean, Italy's typically been more um, left leaning on the issue compared to the other European countries. But anyway, I was gonna watch this video. This like the I gotta say this: the One Piece fans and content creators. This guy is a One Piece content creator. He's not a political channel at all. But I gotta say, the One Piece fans really, they're very class conscious. They really be holding it down. I have much more respect for the One Piece community. They actually get it. They get the messaging that's been sprinkled throughout One Piece for a long time. They get it, and I guess that's why they're fans. They're such big fans because they got it from the get go, or they got it now. Yeah, he comments on some content creators. You see, that's Ludwig, and that's Moist Critical. People you would think are very reasonable, rational people, but even they, they have some big flaws about them, even in the face of something so horrific going on. Yeah, the name of this is Luffy Would Hate Them, so I'm gonna watch that right quick and comment. Um, he makes a lot of good points, man. I'm gonna subscribe to him. I keep finding like a lot of people in the anime community are getting very, very class conscious, and I'm really happy about it. Yeah, this is a good guy. I think he's a good. His name's Big Dad.
The concept of hunger is front and center in the world of One Piece. We see Sanji and Zeph literally starving. We see
Yep,
Alabasta break into a civil war due to water scarcity.
yep.
We see people picking through garbage for table scraps in the Grey Terminal, the landfill outside the wealthy Goa Kingdom. We see where he
It's where Luffy originally grew up. even though he's not really poor, he was raised in that area by a nanny who lived there because Garp was too busy trying to or a farm in the fucking Navy. Garp is his grandfather.
Scraps in the Gray Terminal, the landfill outside the wealthy Goa Kingdom. We see where he feels hungry for the first time in his life. We see a blockade on Law's homeland of Levant. We see Wano suffering a man-made famine under Kaido's brutal occupation. I'm often forced to...
Like what Israel's doing. It's also going on in Sudan right now by perpetrated by Western forces and working with the UAE is taking orders from the West to do that there in the African Horn and that area, the Sahel as well. Well, France really was mostly involved in shit going on in Sahel. They're being pushed out of there right now though, but the West in general has been wanting to control that area and fuck with it.
To think of the real world parallels that Israel is currently starving children and babies in Gaza with a manufactured famine. There is plenty of food just miles away, but Israel does not let it go into Gaza. There's an abundance. Just like in Mary Joie, the wealthiest gluttonously consume without ever knowing the feeling of hunger. And do you know how Israel gives food to Gaza? They throw it on the floor. The starving people who are trapped are forced to scurry for food like rats. That's how they view the people.
Miss Rachel, I've never really followed her content because she's usually done children, child content. For children, but she's pretty good. The work I've seen from what little I've learned about her is pretty good. I think she's, I wish more content creators were like her, but at least she's started like a wave of, people coming out to do this type of thing and show this type of support for people who are, being genocided. Basically, they can't really put it any other way.
Of Gaza. By the way,
living in an apartheid state, being starved, limbs blown up, orphaned. For the people who don't get killed outright. Some young Americans on TikTok say they sympathize with Osama bin Laden. Well, Osama bin Laden didn't really do that 9/11 attack, so it's not really even. Who cares? I don't care what anybody sympathizes with Osama bin Laden, at least post 2001. You could definitely criticize him during the Russo-Afghan war. That was he was working for the U.S. in the CIA at that time, but he had nothing to do with 9/11. He was always the patsy, and then they got some like lookalikes to pretend to be him in some videos after that. But none of them match how he looks. It's like it's the most obvious fake. If you don't know this person and you're just really racist, every fake that they show you, you think that, oh yeah, that's definitely him saying he wants to kill America and all that shit. That's just some fucking most likely Mossad guy. But it's not him. It's not Osama who was saying any of that shit. His initial video, he said, I had nothing to do with this shit. All right? You go compare the videos after that. They don't look anything like the first video. Because they're made by CIA and Mossad. They're just some doubles. They put a fake beard on. Yeah, all Arabs with giant beards, they all look the same. The dumb Americans will fall for it. That's what they thought. And I guess enough did fall for it.
The median age of Gaza is 18 years old. They were walled into of Gaza. By the way, the median age of Gaza is 18 years old. They were walled into a tiny island, but they still had hopes and dreams. They had a life. They endured tragedies generation after generation, but Israel destroyed all of that. They forced them from their homes, made the land completely unlivable, and they continue to exterminate them. After all, that's what you do to rats, so that's what they do to Gaza. How evil is that shit, bro? Literally in One Piece, the most evil to ever do brushes off his cruelty to people by calling them insects. You wouldn't consider an insect's feelings before you step on
This
it.
is what. This is how the owner class thinks, though. Don't ever think that they see you as an equal. They do not. All right. They'd be treating you better if you were an equal. You know, you wouldn't have to be paying an arm and a leg just to get health care or groceries even at this point. Okay. You wouldn't have to pay $500,000 just to live in a decent house. All right. A house that costs like a fraction of that just like 2 decades ago. You got to pay like damn near fucking lottery numbers just to get the house.
It's played out right before our eyes. You can watch a fictional genocide in One Piece during God Valley, or maybe an apartheid in Whitetown, or maybe a famine in Wano.
This is why you need to be class conscious, okay? The wealthy owner class, the aristocracy, the plutocracy, to be more accurate, does not see you as equal. All right? They don't have any sympathy for you. In fact, they think there's too many of you. All right? A good amount of you dying off is not going to be a problem to them because they think you are pest and there's too many of you, and some of you are a bit too brown anyway. They want you to be a little bit more, pale. Okay? They don't care if a lot of you die off. Even the ones who think they're white, to them, you might be a bit too pale. Okay? I mean, you might not be pale enough. So you need to go.
Then pull open TikTok on your phone and see the exact same shit on the timeline, except this time it is real. Same shit on the timeline, except this time it is real.
Cutting the grass of Hamas militants. Yeah, this is the Hamas military. These people in casual clothes walking around in rubble with no fucking weapons.
Real.
That was from 2014.
And people are not talking about this, at least not the biggest names with sizable platforms. First, I didn't want to critique anyone even in good faith because I just assumed a convenient chunk of their brain where their conscience resides was missing, and it felt a bit ableist to critique them given their presumed disability.
Jesus, it's all coming back! It's all coming back! I hate you! It's all coming back, you understand? I don't like it! I don't like to think about it!
But I learned something recently that was incredibly obvious and relieving to hear. Mega huge, legitimately awesome toddler influencer Ms. Rachel recently went from YouTube to Netflix and Walmart deals. But this was all done while she spoke out against Israel for months and months now, filming personal videos for specific...
Yeah, it actually, people want to support you more if you are pointing out that this shit's going on and you're criticizing the people who are doing this evil shit. All right, it's not the other way. You're not going to get canceled by the general public. Maybe some dirtbag companies, but fuck them. We'll be boycotting them.
Families in Gaza, making videos about the injured and starving children in Gaza, and
look at that little
through
child.
A whirlwind of anti-Semitism critique.
She's lost her limbs, man. She lost, I think the foot on her right leg is also gone as well. She has a prosthetic foot, but her whole left leg is prosthetic.
When it was
this poor baby. Yeah, this girl, she committed the sin of being in Hamas. Clearly, this is a Hamas fighter. She deserved it, guys.
Was not as easy to speak out. She's so fucking awesome.
Let's pretend to sleep. Wake up, little bunnies!
Aww.
Skip, little bunnies, skip, 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 little bunnies, skip, 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 little bunnies.
This did not even have to happen. She did not need to lose her leg. How can you even see that and say, "Oh yeah, that's justified"? Don't talk about that though either. Yeah. Because we don't want to fuck up our own bag. We don't want to talk about that.
Skip, can't stop. Good for you.
This, like, before it became in vogue to do it, like, people were saying, no, we can't talk about that. No, it's, I don't want to fuck up the bag. Just let them kids lose their legs. Let them lose their parents. if not their lives.
So.
Let them starve. Fuck them.
And get this, the fucking New York the New York Times.
Call out evil shit no matter what the fuck's going on. Like, I don't get it. How much money do you fucking need?
Her to her face if she is funded by Hamas.
Yeah. That she's funded by Hamas, guys. And that child's also Hamas. She blackmailed her. She threatened her. She had to do it. Are they fucking joking, dude? Why would anybody, like, believe this? Who the fuck are they fooling? These fucking degenerates who wrote this. A Curso 42 in an email response to not having it. Oh, that's the name of Miss Rachel. That's her name.
The New York Times,
Curso.
Their whole board, and every dollar they have profited through
She's
their
42. I thought she was younger. She looks younger.
Manufactured consent. All this is to say that Miss Rachel is sort of proof that speaking out against Israel doesn't hurt your career. In fact, it might help your career.
Yeah. I've been trying to say this for the longest time. Yeah, like, who gives a fuck if Israel doesn't like you? That's a good sign. I'll support you. You get my support.
Wrote on Instagram, I want my taxes to help children, not kill them. I want my taxes to feed children, not starve them. I want to build
Damn right, dude.
Better world.
These are the type of people we need to be making, like, actual leaders and they should be, like, running our systems, not these wealthy billionaires and, like, war hawks, people who just love genocide because it's profitable and they get more from doing it. That's, they don't care about slaughtering a bunch of people. They see people as pests.
World, not bomb it.
They don't have any sympathy. They're sociopaths.
Another Instagram post, Ms. Rachel said she would refuse to work with anyone who's not spoken out against the treatment of Palestinians in Gaza.
So when she was interviewed,
what did she say? Anyone asked with work with me who hasn't spoken out about Gaza? Thank you for your request. I'm not comfortable working with anyone who. Yeah, I don't blame her. I didn't fucking blame her. That's a good rule to have, actually.
Spoken out against.
I like a person like if you're gonna be some content creator, I like ones who are gonna have, like, some fucking morals. These unscrupulous motherfuckers need to, like, just fail. They need to just lose all of their following, all of their money.
The treatment of Palestinians in Gaza.
So when she was interviewed by Democracy Now!, she brought on her friend, fellow.
Democracy Now! Have been fucking up a lot, but at least they'll talk about this and they'll feature her. But Democracy Now! Used to be so much better. They kind of sold out a little bit, but things have just moved so right, so much to the right, that even Democracy Now! With their fuck ups are still more valid than a lot of other shit. That just shows the state of our our news over here.
Activist Tarek from the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, which is an organization we have donated to for this channel. And at the end of the interview, they asked him, what can people do? He said money for aid is great, but using Miss Rachel as an example, one of the best things people can do is have the people with significant platforms speak out against Israel's genocide. Support the people, the children of Gaza who starve every single day. Play the clip.
And in terms of how to help people, how to help the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, you can volunteer, you can donate on our website.
Look how thin they are,
and you can just speak about what's happening.
They're being starved.
Touch on this.
That ain't normal. That ain't how they supposed to be looking, man. They being starved that much, though.
Importantly, because I know Rachel's probably...
This is how Yemen was looking at... This is why Yemen is so adamant on defending Palestine and trying to help them out. They were trying to, block shipments of weapons and shit to Israel. That's why they were so hardcore about that. Because this was happening in Yemen not long ago, only a few years ago, by Saudi Arabia. They were doing that to them, and they were being backed by the U.S. to do it. But then Saudi Arabia got negotiated out of, doing more of that starvation campaign and genocide over there. I think it was China and Russia who actually convinced them to stop doing that. I need to look more into that, but they kind of pulled back on that. But look at who else the fuck the U.S. is, supporting. They're doing the same shit that they were doing in Yemen to people in Palestine.
I'll say this, but Rachel has been, I would say,
and they're doing the same shit in Sudan right now. They're backing people in the UAE to go do that shit to people in Sudan and parts of Congo.
One of the most significant, if not the most significant voices for
There's a big civil war going on in Congo right now.
Human rights. Her
a fake one. I mean, because it's artificial. It's not an organic civil war. It's one that the West is, trying to foment, because it's still a Western colonialist type of apparatus interfering in indigenous affairs in Africa.
Has touched the hearts of people that never would have ever heard about Gaza or the Palestinian children, and that's why her voice is so vital and been so important. When Rachel began to speak out, I saw a tide shift like no other.
I've criticized creators in the past for ignoring the political elements in One Piece, and specifically ignoring a genocide.
And it's really weird too. Like, I don't get it. Like, you don't even have to do this. Look at Miss Rachel. But Miss Rachel's not even the only example. Look at fucking iShow Speed. Even iShow Speed, he was not pulling any shots against Israel and the genocide going on. For the longest time, he was saying, yeah, that's fucked up over there. We shouldn't be supporting them. You don't have to, like, you ain't gonna, like, lose success just because you criticize them. I don't know what was taking these other motherfuckers like Ludwig and Moist Critical, who he's going to talk about later, to get on board. I mean, other than what? They liked that they were doing that? I don't know. Maybe they saw a little bit of themselves and the white settler colonials in Israel, and that's why they didn't want to speak out before. I don't know. Just look at look at iShow Speed, look at them. What's the difference? There's a noticeable difference going on. It's easy to see why one would have more sympathy for the settlers, or want to be quiet about what the settlers are doing compared to the other content creator.
In God Valley, and just not talking about that aspect of it at all, especially in correlation with our real world.
Yeah, I remember this chapter.
I've criticized them for that shallow reading of One Piece that I think is frankly offensive to the art of One Piece. And I had so...
Yeah, I noticed this right around Water 7 arc. I realized more of the political commentary going on. I'm like, oh, they're making some real communist sort of parodies here. Or comparisons and analogies here. Like, what the fuck? This is a real-ass political story. I thought it was just crazy, funny Rubber Man for a while, and then I realized, oh shit, they actually spitting.
So many kids whose mommy still wipes their ass for them comment on my videos being like, these are just YouTubers, bro. They don't need to get involved in politics. Like, what are they even going to do? But right here, two of some of the people that are doing the most for the people in Gaza say explicitly at this stage in the famine, one of the biggest things you can do is not necessarily donating money, but using your voice, especially those with the big platforms. So all of you knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing, morally bankrupt people who comment that complete idiocy, they've just exposed that what you say, it's just a feeling that you have. You're just parasocially wrapped around the tiny little dick of your favorite creator. Grow a fucking spine and critique people who are...
Yeah, I don't get the endless blind parasocialism where you just defend any fucking thing some famous or big content creator does, or just somebody you fucking like. You don't even have to be famous. I know people who just had like dying blind devotion to like even smaller tubers or streamers, and it don't matter what awful thing they did or said, they'll still defend them. They'll still do mental gymnastics for them. They'll make excuses. Oh, they're my friend. They'd never hung out with them in real life. But, they got that parasocial discord kitten relationship, so they'll defend anything they do and do all the mental gymnastics they need to rationalize anything bad that they do or say. Well, my friend can say this evil shit. All right, they're allowed to. Oh, you want to talk about something? You want to talk about not being bigoted towards Palestinians or even like other things like Chinese people? Oh, what the fuck? No, don't make this political. No political discussion here. But they can go ahead and start being as racist as fuck as they want to the Palestinians or Chinese people. That's not political. Okay. I don't care what's going on in Africa. They can keep experimenting on people in Africa or genociding them. As long as we benefit and get their minerals for my fucking iPhone. Okay. I don't care. I don't really give a fuck. Right?
Wrong, not people who are doing right. So what I'm going to do next is to criticize two creators who I've respected and watched for years, who cover at least some politics, but not Gaza, who the public assumes silently supports Gaza, but the silence only supports the status quos. Oh, and they've made content about their love of One Piece.
Oh, they love One Piece. They don't understand anything about it, though, I guess. Especially Charlie. I don't think Charlie understands one fucking iota of One Piece. He does not see any of the analogies going on that are from, like, the real world.
So this is still a One Piece focused channel after all. This is a good faith critique to hopefully open these creators' eyes to their silence on the problem of Gaza actually harming their reputation.
I forgot. One moment. Okay, I'm good. It's like,
whatever your stance on these creators now or after hearing what I have to say.
I've always had problems with these two. I thought they would always be like, they're not very conscious, it seems, at least more critical. I know this guy knows better. Ludwig knows better, but he pulls back a bit too much for my taste. Well, I don't fuck with him. I don't fuck with anything he puts out. It shows up on my feed because these big motherfuckers are pushed all in the fucking algorithm. Even if I don't follow their ass. I don't follow Ludwig, but his shit shows up in my feed anyway. But I don't fuck with it because what he's gonna point out here
is your business. I need to cut in real quick because we have some big news.
But I know Ludwig knows better because I've seen enough of his fucking content because it's pushed everywhere.
I need to cut in real quick because we have some big news. A huge part of this video is criticizing some creators that I genuinely watched and cared about and feel genuine disappointment for their position, their voice on Gaza so far. It is currently 9:27, 9 a.m., and as I understand it, last night, Ludwig started hosting a charity event.
It's Captain Dumbo, I know him. Like, barely. He's a Souls creator. I don't know what he's ever said about it. I don't watch him that much. I don't know what he's ever said about Gaza or if he's ever said anything about it. So I can't comment on him, but I know him.
Event. One of the main three charities is the PCRF, the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, which is fantastic. Rewatching the video, I felt like my criticism still stood, but I personally won't hold the same amount of just pure rage towards Ludwig.
But they did a charity for Palestine. That's actually good. That's what this is. They just recently did this.
He's taken this step. I hope he does more than this. And as you will see in the video, Ludwig is still a figure worth criticizing. While I have you, like the video, share it with your friends, family, whoever. Enjoy the video. This is a One Piece channel primarily at this moment, and the reason I cover One Piece is because it speaks to me as a story and adventure that reflects.
I'm seeing a little bit of this live action. I need to watch the whole thing though. What little I saw of it was pretty okay. Although I didn't like how they did Usopp. I think they kind of doing him a little bit dirty. But maybe they'll improve in the next season. Maybe they'll do better with Usopp.
Impression of our real world with a profound hopelessness and sincerity that ultimately creates something more powerful in storytelling than I can even imagine. I know many of you haven't watched One Piece yet, so I want you to know that I'll try not to spoil as much as I can here within some bounds of reasonability. Share this video with friends that haven't watched One Piece. Maybe it'll get them to check it out. and maybe it can inspire them to learn more about Gaza or just support Gaza more strongly. I don't know. Because one of One Piece's most significant themes is incredibly important to us in our reality right now, maintaining hope in the face of oppression, suffering, with no path forward. The people that present themselves as like us, as working class, are silent. They're
Charlie, he's he's been a millionaire since he's like early on in his career. He's never been like some regular working Joe the whole time he's ever been streaming or making videos. I don't know whoever thought that.
wealthy, but they are like us, as working class, are silent. They're wealthy, but they are not owner wealthy.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's not owner. He's not an owner. He can't like buy a fucking island or anything and turn it into some fucking freaky escort palace or haven or whatever.
They are protecting their class position
None
through
of
their
that fucked
silence
up shit
because
yet.
they are, maybe just in their mind, closer to the owner class than to the working class.
Yeah, they're wealthier than most people, so they identify more with people who are exponentially more wealthy, um, because they're closer to them. They feel closer to them in their comfort than the rest of the public, sadly, because that's how they maintain their wealth. They realize by you know, identifying more with the wealthy and doing favors for them, they're allowed to keep their wealth. You know, doing lip service for them, ads for them. You know, they get more offers. They notice. They get more financial incentives when they do that. So, in order to hold on to their own affluence, they lean more towards, you know, being in support of them in their lip service, in their rhetoric, and they do lip service for, instead of the working class, the rest of the public, or the poor.
They don't want to go back, and they obviously wouldn't. That is a baseless idea.
They'll do lip service for the working class and the poor, but they're never gonna really, you know, they're not gonna make some class conscious sort of declaration or anything, or speech, or tell you that, yeah, you need to denounce these fascists that are doing this awful shit. They're never gonna do that. They'll say, "Oh well, yeah, you guys suffer. I feel for you. Now give me some donos, and also watch this ad, this 30-minute ad, okay? I really feel your pain though."
With no evidence. Go ahead. Tell me one person who spoke out against the genocide in Gaza who has now lost their platform. They're not an influence anymore. Give me one. I've seen plenty of people lose access to the law school that they were attending, lose their jobs, but YouTubers and influencers are different. They don't
have a orthodox job. They don't really have to worry about losing their job for speaking out. They can always go to any sort of platform to go say what they need to say with their following. They already have a big following, these guys he's talking about specifically. So they don't really have to worry about losing followers so much. Just for speaking out on something everybody agrees with at this point. Everybody agrees that what Israel's doing isn't good. So the only reason to like keep caping for them is because you're getting paid by some people to do that, some wealthy people.
Don't lose their jobs, and they will present themselves like they're going to lose their sponsors, which, number one, wouldn't make them poor or anything.
But yeah, you wouldn't become poor though, because you have way more people who will make up for any. I mean, they'll keep supporting you, so you don't have to follow the demands of some wealthy person, so like a singular wealthy group or person, because you'll still have a bunch of other people who will back you up financially. Like most of the public will back you up financially. So unless you just want so much money, it's just not enough that even a bunch of people will still support you. That you want to go with this one group, this very wealthy group, because they're going to give you more money than you think a bunch of individuals who are like the general public are going to give you. Like it's just that greedy. So that would be the only reason you would do that.
Would just make some amount less.
Unless you're just an bigoted settler colonial. I guess that's the other way.
And according to Miss Rachel herself, she still has Netflix deals. She still is getting in more and more toys in Walmart, which is one of the largest companies in the world, in human history.
You took my oath.
Walmart's becoming, I mean, they're failing a lot lately due to the trade war and just being an awful company. But at least they did that much before they started failing.
Leave food. Now I'm gonna stop.
At least they took deals with Miss Rachel. It was one of the few good things I can say about Walmart.
So the fact is that there is no evidence that influencers lose their money if they talk about Gaza. And if their sponsorships say, hey, you can't do that, we're pulling
who gives a fuck? If you lose money for like speaking out against genociding children, I don't feel sorry for you. Like that's a good thing. You should risk losing your fucking money just to speak out against doing something that's the worst sort of outcome. Like that's the worst outcome than you losing money. Genociding children is a way worse outcome than your loss of funds. I don't give a fuck if you lose funds. You need to tell the truth. You're trying to get the bag. It's not worth ignoring that serious issue going on. That serious problem. Okay, your tax money's going to genociding children. Don't you get that? Why do you want that? You should lose all your money if you have a problem speaking out against that.
Fuck them. Fuck that company. Ludwig.
That would be the only reason you should lose all your money, not to go genocide children. Your money shouldn't be getting lost because it's going to go genocide children. It should be getting lost because if you support that, though, that's for damn sure. You don't speak out against it.
So you can tell me, is it Red Bull? Is it AT&T? I know AT&T. Fuck Gaza. And if evidence that influencers lose their money if they talk about Gaza, and if their sponsorships say, hey, you can't do that, we're pulling out, fuck them. Fuck that company.
Yeah.
Ludwig buddy, you can tell me, is it Red Bull? Is it AT&T? I know AT&T.
Yeah. What was holding him back before now? What was holding Ludwig back before now? I gotta know. What company was it? That's a good fucking question.
They love Israel. They sponsored your streamer games? I bet you can find another sponsor, bro. Or I guess maybe you just really need that AT&T money specifically. Very cool. One Piece can be a cruel story. After you've seen the Michelin star quality story Oda cooks up, we willfully walk into new storylines fully aware that One Piece will ruthlessly rip out our hearts. And part of what makes these cruel moments so horrifying is that he's adapting real world atrocities, hatred, pain, and suffering into a fiction.
These are all references to things that have happened. And not even just like ancient history. Just shit that's happened in the past century. Right now.
Narrative and world of One Piece. This means that the moments in One Piece that rip our souls from our bodies from sheer pain are particularly powerful and profound because they touch the human condition, that the vast majority of people are oppressed either through an abusive family, or even a more difficult to overcome, a structure of power that places nearly everyone into a group that can be considered oppressed by a powerful group.
World government. This is in reference to... Well, a lot of this is in reference to the Five Eyes and, the collective West and the rules-based order, which is not really what it is. We don't have we didn't have a rules-based order. They're especially not obeying rules right now. But they never really did when it came to like people who weren't like Anglo-Saxon or honorary whites, honorary settler colonials, like the Dutch and the French and the late Spanish Empire. But Spain's seems to have they seem to have gotten a little better politically lately, but I don't know. Just going by their history. Um, but yeah, that's what this is in reference to. This is in reference to the collective West. A lot of the Gorosei is basically the leaders. It's like five old men who are like they're just a bunch of white guys who represent the world government. They represent white settler colonialism. That's basically what they represent. That's the allegory.
Reinforce this connection to the human condition, what is the overarching story of One Piece? It follows Monkey D. Luffy, the man-boy stated to be the future king of the pirates, the person who will claim the One Piece, a treasure that strikes fear in the world because although it is unknown, the people in power fear its potential to change the entire world forever, turning the world upside down. The closer someone is to claiming this treasure, the global superpower, the world government, issues higher and higher bounties that reflects that person's threat to the world government rather than their individual.
The One Piece, with the little we have learned about what the One Piece is, it threatens the world government's power. Also, some ancient text really threatens the government's power because it explains how the world government came to be and how they got their power. And knowing that is dangerous to them because then people will be able to undo their influence and their hegemony if they know how that happened. And they don't want that. So they kill anybody who reads those texts and who is looking for the Grand Line. They're trying to stop them. They want the Navy to have it, and they don't want any Navy soldiers to read it. They only want the Gorosei to have that shit. Or the Celestial Dragon class, basically. Celestial Dragon class are basically the owner class. They are the top 1% of the 1%. That's what they are. They represent the aristocracy, the plutocracy, the wealthy elite who are anti-communist, anti-worker, anti-peasant, racist as fuck, pro-slave labor. That's what they are. That's what the Celestial Dragon class is.
So I'm an improv actor for a living.
Whoops, sorry, I clicked on another video accidentally.
Score on a punching machine or something. I look for
Wait a minute.
rather than bounties that reflect the global superpower, the world government issues higher and higher bounties that reflects that person's threat to the world government rather than their individual score on a punching machine or something. I look at our world and I look at the world of One Piece, and the truth slaps me so powerfully that I understand that for all the suffering and pain in One Piece, our world is far.
This guy. It's kind of hard to. Whitebeard is hard to describe as the analogy, but I think he might be a analogy for Lenin, or he could be. Not solely that though, but he would be a good analogy for Lenin.
Crueler. The live-streamed Holocaust in Gaza directly carried out by the IDF and hatred in Israeli society breaks me. The man-made famine in Gaza is real. Babies die of malnutrition because Israel, with the backing of the United States, specifically blocks baby formula from entering the occupied territory. In Wano, Kaido and Orochi broker with the Yakuza to betray their people of Wano, and in Gaza, Israel arms and allows ISIS-backed gangs to loot and steal aid.
Yeah, they don't really care about so-called Muslim extremists if they're gonna help genocide a bunch of the Palestinians. Then they're not a problem because ISIS is just a made-up and created organization that the CIA and the Mossad constructed. They're not an organic group. ISIS is just CIA and Mossad LARPing as Muslim terrorists, but they're not. They're not Muslim. They're just CIA and Mossad stooges. Okay, they got a fucking ISIS puppet running Syria right now. And they like a decade ago they were calling him the most wanted terrorist because that was just for advertising. That guy worked for them the whole time. That's just to promote like Islamophobia and shit. But you notice they didn't never fucking arrest that guy. They propped him up as leader of Syria. They're like meeting with them. The Western powers are meeting with him to make foreign policy deals and trade deals, and to help genocide more people in Syria after it got invaded by the West and their proxies, but in Israel as well. I mean, Israel is a partner. Anyway,
for starving children. I've only dipped my toes in, but everybody knows what is happening in Gaza. It's a genocide, and in my opinion, a second Holocaust. I've cried so many times to One Piece, and there are moments that if I reread them right now, I would cry again, over and over. I've also cried so many times at seeing the suffering of just children in Gaza. I have young children myself, and I have to reckon...
He has kids. He really understands. I think another problem is, like, I don't have kids myself, but even I can understand. Like, my brother has kids, I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to them. But you think that, even if you don't have kids, like Ludwig and Charlie, and, those other content creators, they don't really have kids. So you would think, okay, well, I guess that's why they don't really give a fuck. And they won't, speak out against these children being killed. They're that cowardly. They care so much about the bag they won't even say anything about it. But then I got to think. But I don't have kids either. So like I still couldn't just ignore that. So although they are more successful than me. So, but then I'm not like I don't know. I don't think that's an excuse because then I already pointed out like people like IShowSpeed. He's more successful than they are, but he'll say something about it. So what was their problem? And I gotta say, well, it must be their background. And that's really what it is. Probably. I can't say that's what it is, but I think that might be part of it.
But the reality is that because they were born in the United States rather than Gaza, they will not be purposely...
I'm not trying to be a big content creator for one thing. So like, it would never like make me affect what I say. Like, getting more success wouldn't actually affect anything I say because I don't want to do content just to get money. I do it because I want to make content I want to listen to, basically. And if people want to come and talk to me about it, I'm not going to shy away, but still. I say what I want to say in my space.
Maimed, and
this is part of how I keep a little bit of sanity. I got to compartmentalize a lot of rational thinking into something I can listen back to say, well, there's still some, some sense that can be made of the world, and there's still some good in the world. Like, I find people like this who are speaking out and pointing out why it's wrong to be silent about these issues. And this is good. This gives me more faith in our world and people in it, and helps motivate me.
Shot by soldiers acting through pure malice.
Like, this is like the other video I was watching that was about One Piece. I watched another video on another stream I did that was also about One Piece and the political messages in there. And I like finding people like that. Like, for about just a bunch of the things I follow in media and hobbies, I like that they get it. That gives me more faith. So I like to react to these on my streams or in any space, even if it's like just Twitter or something or Rednote. I'm on there more lately because, American TikTok is compromised. International TikTok, everybody else can use it. It's just the US is we're blocked off from that. I guess you can use a VPN though. Like, a lot of people got the misconception that, like, yeah, America bought TikTok. They own all of it. But no. They just have the American version. They bought a fork of an algorithm that is rented out to them from ByteDance, who are the people who own TikTok. They still own it. The US does not own it. The US just has they rent a fork that they made for them that the US can control. But they don't control all of TikTok. the U.S. does not control all of TikTok. The international TikTok will still be free of U.S. influence.
And cowardice. Just like many One Piece fans cannot forgive the Celestial Dragons for their crimes against humanity, myself and most people in the world can never and will never forgive the IDF and Zionists more broadly. I wouldn't permit a Zionist to wipe my ass at a nursing home, let alone be my brother or my friend locked in struggle. Zionists, Celestial Dragons, and Nazis are all synonymous.
That's what I like to hear.
They seek an ethnic supremacist order where outgroups must be eliminated.
She's not wrong. It is just another, racist, supremacist, ethno-state sort of model going on. It's a settler colonial model, and an apartheid state model. And guess what else the U.S. supported? Not just Israel, but also South Africa before it became out of fashion to support the apartheid in South Africa. Like the U.S. was backing that before, we recognized that was an evil thing going on in South Africa, right? Before we decided that Nelson Mandela was actually right and should not have been imprisoned because you guys are just a bunch of Nazis, people running who used to run, the Boers, Dutch, and then the British came to help back them up.
And once that group's eliminated, you have to create a new outgroup, and ultimately, fascist institutions crumble or consume themselves.
There's also a book about, Zionism is rooted in the Nazis and fascism. They're both from the same funders. They have a history of collaboration. There's a book you can read about their collaboration. They never actually fought each other. You would think, oh, well, they're supposed to represent the Jewish people, and the Nazis are supposed to represent the Ubermensch white race, and Aryan race, but there's never any segment in history where you can pinpoint them ever fighting each other. Zionists never fought the Nazis. You can't point to one scenario or segment of history where that happened. You can point to collaborations. They certainly have collaborated. But Zionists have never actually fought Nazis because they don't oppose them. They have the same sort of a model going on. They're two sides of the same fascist coin. They're not opposed. They're just like one is another cop and one is another cop, and they're both bad cops. There's no good cop in that scenario.
Because if they continue to eliminate outgroups, eventually the only thing that will be left is itself, and it will have to consume itself until it can no longer be maintained. My personal belief is that everyone with a platform should be talking about this. Money is not as significant as speaking against the genocide. How many times in One Piece does Luffy and others use their voice to declare their undying support for those that are...
I'm so sick of these people do anything for a fucking nickel, man. Like, how much fucking money do you need, dude? How much of a whore are you going to be?
Suffering. So creators, it is time to speak up, continuing to be silent.
Like they could kill your family in front of you. If they pay you enough, you're just going to, oh well. You're going to be all, you don't give a fuck about it, do you? Because that's how much you want the bag.
Could and will hurt you in the long run, but even more importantly, it hurts your soul.
I have no soul.
If you want to take that extra step, you can support me for just $1 a month on Patreon or here on YouTube as a member. Feel free to follow me on Twitch. The amount of criticism you'll face is nothing compared to the support you'll receive. To act in a way that you know to be wrong is bad faith and cowardice. It's only you that can determine if you're a coward, but in my opinion, silence only benefits the status quo. Your silence permits the genocide to go on and on. People speaking out against the genocide that Israel is doing to the people in Gaza has been shown to be the only thing that changes Zionist genocidal behavior. Oh, and Moist Critical, my Florida man, you've been wiggling around in your chair, often cranking out 3 videos a day, and you do cover the news, presidential debates, the Jeffrey Epstein files. So what's up? Does genocide not hit the necessary virality, or is this a
Yeah, you think once you start getting into the Epstein shit, like why would you even be silent on Gaza though? That's a contradiction. Unless you just agree with that shit going on against the Palestinians. You agree with them being slaughtered and starved to death? Is that because I don't see any other reason why you're going to be silent on that. Oh, I'm not political. I'll talk about the Epstein stuff though. Like that's good to talk about that. Why don't you talk about this other thing too though? Why do you have a problem talking about it?
Topic where there is no way for you to safely land in the middle, sometimes you're totally willing to piss people off, but when it's about genocide, no. You run and you hide. I've been a big fan of your content for years now. I have very fond memories of watching your coverage of slapboxing back in the day. Your moist
Yeah, I remember that. He used to do the silly videos.
got me into anime and likely ultimately led me to reading One Piece, which then led me to...
But he got you in the fucking anime. That's weird. I never saw him as like an anime content creator. I mean, he's talked about it, but he never got me into like any anime.
Very fond memories of watching your coverage of slapboxing back in the day. Your moist meters got me into anime and likely ultimately led me to reading One Piece, which then led me to creating a One Piece YouTube channel. You present yourself as this no bullshit Andy who gives it to you straight. You love to say you're going to throw cold water in our faces for your hot take. Well, here's some cold water in your face.
He doesn't really give hot takes. He's very tepid, and that's, you know, big problem. Like I don't go to this guy for like any content on, because he always like does like the most limp wristed take. It would be better if he didn't on like serious issues.
You are a coward. At least I hope so, because if you're not a coward, that means you just don't fucking care about genocide. You don't care about starving babies. If you are a coward, all you need to do is express your support for the Palestinians in Gaza and support allowing all aid into Gaza with a permanent ceasefire. So many lives can be saved still. Your voice is massive. It legitimately pisses me off that you make surface level overviews of the Jeffrey Epstein files, but won't make a single fucking video about Gaza. Even when you cover Epstein, you barely dip your toe into how deep the well goes. You go, I'm going to say something brave. The Epstein list has Democrats on it too, and I'm still against it. Does anyone know?
That's not like a hot take. Oh man, that's such a edgy take. Oh wow, I'm against it. There's Democrats in there, and I'm still against it though. God, oh man, you're a rebel. Like nobody fucking likes the Democrats either. So like we don't like either one of them fuckers, man. They're both right wing. They both support they both supported the genocide in Gaza. Okay, I don't fuck with them. They're not communist. They are class traitors, or they were always aristocrats. But some of them are just people who were, oh, they came from the bottom, and then they just pulled the ladder up and decided to be class traitors. They don't give a fuck about the rest of us. They serve Nazis now. When they serve Nazis, I don't give a fuck. That's not a hot take anymore though. That's pretty much the general consensus.
Non-freak in real life that is sick.
They don't do shit for us. Look at all the evil shit that the Republicans are doing now. What are they doing to fight back against it? None of the Democrats are stopping people from getting kidnapped by ICE. They ain't doing shit. They're not stopping any of these the Medicare being, well, okay. There was the government shutdown because of the Medicare being gutted, or in Medicaid. They're trying to gut both of them, but mainly it was about Medicaid. That's the recent thing. Government shutting down, but the fascists are still being paid. Right, the people who are building that fucking ballroom are still being paid. ICE is still getting paid. None of that stopped.
and doesn't know that Democrats are on the Epstein list. People fucking hate the Democratic Party, yet you completely ignore the substantial evidence and connections to the CIA and Mossad, and you present yourself as loving conspiracy. But you don't talk about this one. Are you censoring it to not make genocidal losers upset? Why would you make the video covering this if you're only splashing around in the kiddie pool? And maybe it's because you're like, I always want to be funny and stuff, man. Like, there's nothing funny about famine. Well, conveniently, you like to cover stories about pedophiles getting away with it.
Hello. Okay, I think my mic was muted. I think some feds on YouTube didn't like what I was saying. So like I don't know. They couldn't affect my app though. That doesn't make any sense. But I think my app that I'm using might be it might be linked to feds itself and they didn't like what I was saying, so my mic got muted. Let me see. Let me go listen back to a little bit of my uh stream. I'll mute my own mic while I look right quick. I'm gonna go on YouTube and listen to a little bit of my stream. I just don't want any feedback. So I'm gonna mute right quick. One moment. Actually no, I'm gonna blank the screen right quick. Hello? Okay, I'm blanking the screen right quick. Going to my YouTube channel. Man, I can't believe how long was I talking with my voice being muted? Like, I didn't mute myself. So that happened from like over the network for some reason. I don't know why. It only ever happens when I'm talking about something that has to do with politics. It never any other time when I'm just, talking about some vapid video games or some shit. Just some vapid video game discussion, some, superficial gaming discussion that's not offensive. Then it's never fucking muted. But then whenever I'm talking about something real, it gets muted. Okay. Okay. Let's listen to my stream. I'm gonna real. It gets muted. Cops. There's no good cop. Other thing too. So like we don't like either one of them fuckers, man. Or in medic. Serve Nazis now. A recent thing. Hello. Okay. Okay. Hello. Now I'm really back. Okay. So it muted me for like 10 minutes. It looked like. So it wasn't the whole stream, but that's really weird that happened. Okay. So I guess I'll keep this up. 'Cause I want to be able to listen back to this. If I'm muted, well, I'm just gonna delete it. But I was only muted for like a little bit, so we're gonna go back. It wasn't that long. I'll put it like a time stamp for myself so I know when to just skip ahead to where I'm unmuted. That's fucked up. They're really trying to like stop a lot of speech. I don't think that was an accident. I don't know. I'm not even a big channel, but even still, they don't like any bit of that squeaking through, no matter how big you are. I know I've gotten videos pulled off, even though nobody watches my channel. I have no fucking views. I've had videos removed for political content, especially during COVID. They got removed. No one but me watched the fucking video. But no, it had to be pulled off of YouTube. YouTube did not like it. I don't know. Anyway, let's play the rest of this.
Recently, there was
Yeah, the Liver King, this degenerate. Okay.
an Israeli pedophile that got caught, and the United States explicitly.
Oh yeah, that motherfucker who like worked side by side with BB or Benjamin Milikowski, not Netanyahu. Fuck that fraud. But yeah, he worked right next to him. That fucking pedo who got caught in a Vegas sting. Apparently, yeah, I think it was in Vegas. Yeah, a lot of people were talking about that, but not Charlie. You think he would? You talk about the Epstein thing, that should be right up your alley. But it directly references Israel. Is that the issue? Because that guy worked with Milikowski, Netanyahu. Maybe that's it.
Flee back to Israel. They got caught, and the United States explicitly let him flee back to Israel. I don't see no fucking video. This is one of the most powerful people in the world getting completely off the hook by the most powerful government in the world. And if you're a dumbass,
well, I wouldn't say America's the most powerful government anymore. Their influence is pretty much, it's almost non-existent at this point. It's not. It's still there, but it's about to not be there at pretty damn soon. Right? The other countries are laughing at us. The other world powers are laughing at the U.S. There was even that leak conversation with that one figure, that lady. She said, "Yeah, nobody trusts us. They're all laughing at us. Our enemies are laughing at us, and our friends don't trust us. They don't want to work with us anymore. Our former allies." And that's the truth. That's what I've been saying for the longest time.
Commenter going like, it's illegal in Florida to talk about Gaza. No, it isn't. It's illegal to boycott, divest, and sanction Israel in the state of Florida.
Yeah, the BDS you're not allowed to do in Florida, and not in my state too. They don't like it either. I think they're more hardcore about it in Florida. People are a bit more free spoken around here in Austin, though, so nobody really adheres to that too much here. But yeah, you'll be a big risk if you're in, say, Dallas, maybe.
Not illegal to talk about it, to criticize Israel. Israel is a state, it's not a person. Israel is an ethno-supremacist state on occupied land, which is illegal under international law. A bunch of you dick writers will go full keyboard warrior in my comments being like, Charlie's apolitical and smart for not getting into divisive.
Yeah, apolitical usually means, yeah, we just capitulate to Nazis. That's all that means today. We let the Nazis fuck us up the ass. And if we do make political takes, it's typically going to be in defense of them. All right? Because we're getting paid to at that point. And we really just talk about politics if we're getting paid to do it. And I think I'll get a lot of clicks for it. They don't have any, like, they have so little problems, especially these rich, big content creators who are, like, also, of a settler colonial background. They don't have any big problems, so they don't really have any big sort of commitment to like some political stance, because what benefits the working class has no effect on them. They're not working class. They're wealthy celebrities at this point, and they don't go through the same experiences as like the general public. So it's like a blasé thing for them. So Moise Crito, he doesn't have to care about real world issues or politics. Okay, that's what an apolitical person is, who's a content creator. They don't have to care because they're privileged and comfortable already. But normal people don't have that privilege.
Issues. Sure, you can hold your dumbass opinion, but I'm going to share my opinion too. Continuing to be silent about Gaza means you are a coward, a Zionist, or a cynical, empty husk of a former human being. Silence only benefits the status quo. Again, this is not just my words.
Yeah.
And in terms of how to help people, how to help the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, and you can just speak about what's happening. And I want to touch on this very importantly. Rachel has been one of the most significant, if not the most significant.
And I said they'll typically defend the Nazis because that's going to be relevant later. Because I saw some shit that they did in relation to that, that CK motherfucker. And I'm not talking about Calvin Klein. But yeah, fuck him.
Voices for Palestinian human rights.
I just now noticed, they had the same initials, so I had to be a bit more distinct.
Her advocacy has touched the hearts of people that never would have ever heard about Gaza or the Palestinian children, and that's why her voice is so vital and been so important.
Speak out against Israel starving and killing helpless people born and stuck in Gaza. The casualties of children, the amount of amputees in children, far exceeds any conflict since the Holocaust.
I had a beheaded lady who's 9 months pregnant that we had to deliver her by an emergency C-section.
That's so
as it
up.
stands, Luffy would hate
That's
you
insane, dude.
for cowardice
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to be political, though, guys.
and a lack of ambition.
Something that people don't understand is that my career and reputation will never be as important to me as standing up for kids.
Oh, that's Miss Rachel. Oh, I didn't even know that was her. Wow, she looks really pretty. Okay, out of costume. I didn't know that was her. That was her. I never looked at. I've seen this clip before. I didn't look at the name though, and I didn't follow Miss Rachel to begin with. So I've just now made the connection. That's her. Okay.
I hope you're just a coward because that is something that can be fixed.
Now that's a good one. I respect this content creator. I wish more of them were like this. Sadly, no. They all just about trying to get. Well, most of them are just about getting the bag. I got mine. That shit.
I hope you're just
That's
a
the
coward
shit that makes me sick. I've unfollowed so many people because that's how they think. Even people who aren't even big, they think that way, and it's just it's so annoying to watch at this point. I'm tired of it.
That is something that can be fixed. If you change your position and use your voice, I'd accept you with open arms. I'd give you a big smooch right on your little lips. And Ludwig, I watched you consistently for years. I watched you in the Twitch Rivals Pokemon tournament, your Ludlock. I retweeted Unfiltered Tofos on Twitter when you ran that parody Smash account. Brother, I know your ass is pro-Palestine, but if you're silent and quivering in your fancy stream studio, being pro-Palestine in your head is fucking pointless when you have a platform and a voice as big as yours.
So I personally donated 10K.
He had a big platform, but not big balls. So he wasn't saying shit before until now.
I think it is worthwhile. And if you guys got some extra bread, I would recommend you donate.
I believe One Piece is your favorite anime at the very least. At the center of One Piece is achieving true freedom through liberation so people can strive and ultimately achieve their dream. Like One Piece, the children of Gaza are born trapped into a small piece of land. Like One Piece, it is illegal to fight back against their oppressors. Like One Piece, leaving their island, leaving their walls is a crime befitting death. Like One Piece, people need food, shelter, and a loving community to achieve their dreams. Be on the right side of history. I can't stand to watch your content anymore because I know you covered the start of the Ukraine war in your live stream.
Russian invasion of Ukraine has begun. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, because the U.S. was in support of criticizing Russia at that point. They did a bunch of sanctions against them. So yeah, it was safe to criticize Russia.
My city is shelled. Are fucking right fucking now. Invasion of shelled. Sound good. My city is shelled. Are fucking right fucking now. Okay, there's a war. Holy shit. Oh, he's Ukrainian? Excuse me. That's what I meant to say.
And you even have a mostly unused second channel for covering news and internet culture.
Where Russia has to get involved in this civil war going on in Ukraine. Okay? The civil war was not really between Russia before. It was between the project. They can make it seem like there's some ethnic difference between Russians and Ukrainians. You create some false sort of division to justify a fascist sort of action. But yeah, that's what happened. That's why there was a separatist group set up in the Donbass because of that. All right. This was spearheaded by the West, by the U.S. in their NATO coalition.
And after more than a year, you finally uploaded to Mogul Mail. I was like, oh, is it about the biggest news story in generations?
You always got to question anyone the U.S. backs. They're not necessarily going to be the good guys. They never are. The U.S. never backs good people or good factions. I won't designate an entire country to be like bad, but the faction of a country that the U.S. backs, yeah, you gotta question that. All right, and which state is actually causing the real harm? You do got to pay attention to what state they're backing too, though, because that is irrelevant. Because Israel, the entire Israel state apparatus is wrong. There's no salvaging any part of it. So yeah, that is relevant. The U.S. also backed the South African apartheid state. They backed the Boers. There was no salvaging that either.
Jeffrey Epstein's a bad guy, and I think everybody who participated in the abuse of young girls at his island for 3 decades should be punished to the fullest extent.
The U.S. backed in Ukraine. The U.S. backed the Svoboda Party. All right. They backed the Azovs. Okay, you can say, oh well, they're Nazis, sure. They were right-wing fascists, sure, but they didn't hold. Nobody voted for them. They didn't hold any seats. Okay, but then you go look at the right sector Nazi gang speaking about that, who were pivotal in the whole Maidan coup that happened, that whole Maidan protest, and then it turned into a fucking coup. Go listen to them talk. They tell you it doesn't matter that they didn't have a lot of seats or they weren't popular with the general populace in Ukraine. Their influence in spite of that is all that was relevant. They could, coax a bunch of people to go with their platform, no matter if they liked them or not. Okay, they were bullying people, is what they were pointing out. All right, a Nazi fascist doesn't need to have people legitimately liking them to get results. All right, they can just bully people, use mafioso tactics. That's what they did. That's what they admitted. This is how they got influence. This is how they had the coup. They were the snipers. All right, it was this right sector gang that were the ones who did the sniping. It was not actual police that were called to do that by the Yanukovych. It was that was made up. It was actually these right-wing gangs that the U.S. backed that were under order from the Svoboda Party head guy. I've talked about this on Twitter as well. I still have that info up. But yeah, it's pretty. The links are there. You can. It's so blatantly obvious that the U.S. always backs the fascist. Don't ever believe who the hell they tell you to support. Oh yeah, you need to do this. You need to bend the knee to them at the Super Bowl. Okay, just like they tell you to do that for Charlie Kirk and shit. They want to do that at the new Super Bowl. You got to bend the knee and bow to him. He's a good guy. And bow to these Nazis we supported over in Eastern Europe as well. They're good guys. And people fell for it. They didn't question that shit at all. Like, this is why I don't trust a lot of the background of the people here. They're very easily coaxed into doing Nazi shit without realizing it. Or maybe some of them do realize it. They back Nazis and don't even realize until it's too late. And it's blatant, like right now that Trump's in charge. Oh, now they notice the Nazis. They weren't noticing any of that shit before, though. They weren't noticing all the black sons from these guys we were being told to support. That didn't register with you before, motherfuckers? The wolf hooks and wolf angels they were brandishing, none of that registered to you as Nazi shit. Now you're afraid of Nazis. Your entire government, they all done nothing but support Nazis and fascists and people doing genocide. You don't wait until the fucking Cheeto is in charge to start going against Nazis. You need to do it early. All right, you need to be harder on your Nazis. You don't need to be telling people yet. You need to have sympathy for a fucking dead Nazi who got shot by his own side anyway. That wasn't no fucking radical leftist. He got shot by some goddamn feds. If even that was real. Like, okay, I have my own theory about the Charlie Kirk shit. Let me just go on a tangent right quick. Charlie Kirk, there's people who've noticed shit about that video. Some people say part of it might not even be real. All right, and then you got another stupid theory coming out. Oh well, okay, sure, this round can do this much damage, in realistically, but it didn't do that much damage to Charlie Kirk because he's the man. He's got Man of Steel. All right, God was protecting him. His bones were like steel, so it didn't do as much damage as it normally would. Like, get the fuck out of here. Okay, that's bullshit. Okay, so it leaves some sort of credence to the people who are saying that maybe that shooting was AI, okay? Or at least a frame of it. And it would make a lot of sense if he's not really dead, because the way his wife is acting, she ain't moving like a woman who just lost her husband. She's moving like an opportunist who just lost the man she used to be a beard for. And I got my own personal theory, okay? Charlie Kirk used to be all about, not only was he a fucking racist, shit on us black folks a lot, shit on Palestinians, and said, I don't care about them dead kids, fuck them Muslims. But he also shit on LGBT and trans people. And you gotta think, maybe part of that, the latter, was just all projecting. And, Charlie did a lot of shilling for Trump in Israel while he was alive. Okay? But at some point, he was actually, he was in the closet. I mean, the whole time he was in the closet, and he had his own little lover he found on Grindr. Okay, but his grinder buddy, he likes his men to be a bit more feminine, and Charlie Kirk wanted to get in touch with his more feminine side. So, you know, he was thinking about transitioning. All right, keep that as a theory in your head. Maybe he decided he wanted to transition. Okay, so with that said, if he wanted to transition for his grinder lover, maybe he, you know, he wanted to get rid of his cis male identity. He couldn't just come out and just say, "Oh, now I want to be trans." No, he has to get rid of that identity, or else he'll lose all legitimacy to his base, you know, his Nazi base. So instead of just saying he's transitioning, he's just gonna pretend to die. So he went along with this plan to be a fake martyr. He didn't really get shot. It's some fucking AI edit at the last minute to make you think he really died. But he just got taken to, you know, some fucking surgeon later. All right, I'm really that would be the only way a lot of this shit makes sense. Okay, this makes more sense than what the fuck they're telling us about what the fuck really happened to Charlie Kirk and how the people around him are acting, how his fucking wife's acting. Okay, they're not acting like he's really dead. Maybe he's not. He went to get a sex change. That's my fucking theory. He's living as a woman now. But they had to say he's dead, and they had to take advantage of him being dead by making him a martyr. All right? Because then his service will really pay off. Right? You can't just go and transition. You got to martyr yourself, guy. They're like, okay, we'll do the fake martyr story. I'm going to go fuck off and go live with my grinder lover. Okay? That's the theory. That's more real than whatever the fuck they're telling us. Anyway, let's get back to this.
To the law. But I really think the only thing that is worth doing is not getting quiet about it. This is in the news cycle right now. Some of the shit's going to happen in this world. And that shit might distract you from this. But we don't need to be distracted. You know, it doesn't always need to be in the front of the mind. There are other more pressing things that come up.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Nope.
More
Wait a
pressing
minute, let me
things.
rewind.
I really, at his Epstein,
I was like, oh, is it about the biggest news story in generations?
I think Jeffrey Epstein's a bad guy. And I think everyone
shit.
who participated in the abuse of young girls at his island for 3 decades should be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
Man, that's so controversial. Oh man, I'm surprised he came out and said that. Yeah, that's what everybody else thinks.
But I really think the only thing that is except
for Trump and his administration. Well, everybody in the fucking Beltway, not even just his administration, the prior administration. None of them released the files. None of them are going to. And the only thing they're going to release is old info that's already redacted, that we already had.
Is not getting quiet about it. This is in the news cycle right now. Some of the shit's going to happen in
Look
this
at his Red Bull mic. Maybe it was Red Bull who was telling him, yeah, you need to pull back on criticizing Israel and talking about genocide. So he's probably right.
And that shit might distract you from this. But we don't need to be distracted. You know, it doesn't always need to be in the front of the mind. There are other more pressing things that come up.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Nope.
Yeah.
It's about Epstein, which everybody has been milking already. It's newsworthy and should be covered. But why
release the files, by the way? We need to get those released.
Epstein.
Quit making them stall on that, and distracting us with bullshit.
Not Palestine. Why do you not cover Gaza? Is blowing up women and children, assassinating Pulitzer Prize winning journalists, and starving babies less newsworthy than Trump being our pedophile in chief?
We're learning more about that double tap.
I mean, we just need to keep demanding it. I know they don't want to ever release it, but we need to keep demanding it. We're going to hear every bullshit excuse they're going to give. Keep demanding it. Show how phony they are.
Newsworthy than Trump being our pedophile in chief?
We're learning more about that double tap attack on Monday, that pair of Israeli strikes that killed 22 people, including 5 journalists.
Video of the aftermath of the first strike shows the hospital was
initially targeting
hit
journalists
twice.
too.
The staircase where journalists were
They
working.
get all the info out about how many children they're killing. Can't have that.
and another staircase here next to the ICU.
If your excuse is that you don't cover politics, then what the fuck, bro? Epstein isn't political, but genocide is? The whole we don't touch politics thing
that's
is a
stupid.
limp dick excuse. No one wants any of you to cover electoral politics or foreign policy.
I don't generally do politics. Most of the time I watch TikToks. If you look at my last few videos, people celebrate the death of other people so casually. And not just in this Charlie Kirk incident. Yeah, I think a lot.
See, this is the bullshit I'm talking about. He did some Charlie Kirk apologia, as if this motherfucker like there's some real fucking false equivalency being laid on some fucking dead Nazi and actual free speech advocates who were freedom fighters and civil rights activists like Martin Luther King. The people compare Charlie Kirk to MLK. That guy was for civil rights. He wasn't against being racist and justifying genocide. That's what Charlie Kirk was. The parody is not there. This is always a bad comparison. And we should not respect the free speech of fucking fascists. That's stupid. This is why we got the problems we got now. That's that shit that pisses me off. That's that white moderate bullshit that Martin Luther King was talking about when he was alive. Why the fuck are we giving equal sort of importance to Nazis as we do to civil rights speakers? That's dumb as fuck. That is literally retarded. And that's what that word should be used for, to describe shit like that. That's retarded. That's not what we should be allowing. That's free. That's the type of speech that needs to be banned. That needs to be straight up illegal. Nazi speak is not speech that needs to be protected. I don't give a fuck.
A lot of people do it.
Hang those motherfuckers. That's what needs. That's who needs to be lynched. You want to be a Nazi? We're gonna lynch you. Okay? You like lynches so much. All right? That's gonna be the sentence. That's just how it's gonna be.
About the lives of Palestinians.
But you extend that excuse to not talking about human rights issues pertaining to humanity. We all know about Germany's Holocaust, which killed at least 5 million Jews and millions of others in marginalized groups. It was reasonable that people don't band together against that Holocaust or the many atrocities in One Piece, because back then and in One Piece, people are not connected with those far away. Oceans, borders, mountains, and lack of ways to document the atrocities made it so people couldn't use their voice. But today we are connected through the internet. That's how any of us gained our platforms, and that's how you built your wealth. But you won't use your voice on your massive platform to even...
Actually, he realizes that he's a fraud. He did an experiment on trying to grow as a news streamer. And he realized that, yeah, he rode on a luck wave during, especially post-COVID. That's where a lot of the fame of these content creators, these top content creators came from. That shit. That fucking fluke that happened, and you can't really replicate. He tried to do that on a ghost stealth channel, and it didn't work. All the tactics he used before did not work for growing that channel. So he realizes now, yeah, if you're trying to do the shit that he was doing back when he was starting out, or growing at least, that ain't gonna work. So he realized he's a fraud now.
Attempt to make a difference because you're a coward. Or even worse, trying to protect your class position, which I think should be less likely because I know you turned one of your companies into a worker co-op. You have some sympathy for class struggle clearly. Again, this isn't what you signed up for when you wanted to become a streamer, but your voice is greater than almost anyone in the world. Like you, I also studied journalism in college. This is supposed to be the job of journalists, but all mainstream news in the Western world has completely failed to accurately portray this genocide because they don't want to assign any blame on Israel. And by extension, the U.S. State Department.
Literally trying to kill babies, dude. It can't be any more blatant than this. Yeah, because Hamas really needs the baby formula. They got to stop it.
Project.
You can't make any excuse for this. I don't get... How can you even explain this away? You got to be like...
Case specific.
I don't know, man.
If you look through his channel, it's almost all anti-Trump content, and I don't think there's hardly a word on Palestine.
It absolutely is deliberate.
Fuck anti-Trump. I mean, fuck Trump. Who cares if they're anti-Trump?
Anti-Trump. Hackman's case specifically, if you look through his channel, it's almost all anti-Trump content, and I don't think there's hardly a word on.
Oh, he's talking about how David Pakman's been silent on Palestine. When was this? Was this before the election or after?
Absolutely is deliberate. He was invited to a private, off-the-record meeting with Kamala Harris and several other content creators, including Brian Tyler Cohen, the Mycelis brothers from Midas Touch. They talked amongst themselves and came to the conclusion that the topic is too divisive, it might drag down their channels, that it's a poison pill, and that it's better if they just don't talk about it at all. Now, Brian Tyler Cohen literally has never done anything on Gaza.
So the reality is that the journalism institutions have failed, so we need voices like yours to vocally support Gaza by calling for a permanent ceasefire to allow all aid into Gaza to stop the man-made famine. Please.
Look how thin they are, dude. You can see their fucking rib cage.
If not,
that shouldn't be happening.
That isn't true to your heart and soul, but rather filling your empty void.
You can see their ribs from their fucking back. Like, you can see they look like a skeleton, man. That's not how a child should be looking.
Limitless and all-consuming,
they need to
with
be
wanting
growing and
more
healthy.
people to like you, or at the very least, not wanting some people to be mad at you. It's a prisoner's dilemma, this thought experiment involving two rational agents whom cooperate for a mutual benefit or betray their partner and defect for their individual gain. They are defecting for individual gain because that is the rational choice in this situation. The prisoner's dilemma pretty famously doesn't incorporate any collectivism or cultural norms that aren't this white Anglo-Saxon sphere. For me personally, it is verging on an
That's another flaw in the prisoner's dilemma framing as well. But yeah.
Unacceptable length of time. Both you and Moist Critical have chosen to cover news topics, even serious political issues, if you feel like you will get the views, if you feel like you will get the financial compensation for doing so. And you'll come out and you'll say some takes that lands you pretty much right in the middle, just like our normal news system. So you're covering news.
Charlie Kirk was on a college campus in Utah and...
Look at this apology. Oh, I can't defend those Palestinian babies having their limbs blown off and starved to death or anything. But yeah, I'm going to come out and defend the Nazi. All right, he was such a good guy. I especially loved how he laughed about dead Muslims in Palestine. That shit was great. And he laughed about dead black people. No big deal. That was a good guy. We had to give him a holiday. I gotta defend him, okay? Don't make fun of him. That's not nice. He would never do that. Oh wait, he did when he was alive. But we still gotta be nice, guys. We gotta be nice to our Nazis for some fucking reason. Why? Why do we gotta be nice to the Nazis? Tell me. Explain why that's a good thing. We need to actually be dunking them in the fucking toilet. We need to be waterboarding these motherfuckers. That's what needs to be happening. You guys are they're too nice to their Nazis. That's why we got the problems we got. Especially these fucking pale content creators and all these wealthy white people. They say we gotta be nice to fucking Nazis. And that's why we got the problems we got. Nothing's getting better. They actually love Nazis. That's the fucking problem. They don't want to admit it.
While doing that, he was shot in the neck and he died. It is fucking terrible. The videos are sickening. They are very gruesome. A lot of people kept saying, I'm sure you've seen it in the comment section or on streams or elsewhere, about how I'm dodging this topic and refusing to speak on it, which I find to just be unhinged. I find that to be so fucking twisted. If I did do like a video when it happened, a follow-up video, and then this video, people would accuse me of milking a tragedy. So it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. So let me be crystal clear here. I think the assassination of Charlie Kirk, everything that happened here is fucking horrible. I think it is horrific. And I'm aware that some people have been celebrating.
No. It's Schadenfreude, if anything. If it was real, I don't believe that was a real murder. I'm skeptical. But yeah, if he's really if he's really dead, yeah, that's just Schadenfreude at that point. It's not anything worth being sad about.
This, I find that to be fucking disgusting.
Not anything worth being outraged about. Fuck him.
When I really want to talk about something, I'm gonna make a damn video. All right. Oh, you ban Asman? Well, what about when Frogan said this? Crazy thing.
He's defending a Nazi too. Look at Ludwig. He defended that Nazi Asmongold and made a false equivalency with Frogan because she said, well, yeah, a bunch of invading rapist soldiers getting PTSD is justified. Yeah, that's valid. I felt I wasn't offended by that, and I used to be in the military. We had people in the military raping women in her country and killing a bunch of her own neighbors. So yeah, if some fucking soldier has PTSD after doing that shit, I don't feel sorry for him. She's right. She's absolutely justified.
Thing about U.S. soldiers.
So, but you have Asmongold talking about, yeah, he don't care if people die. She didn't even say like, oh, yeah, it's funny if they died or some shit. She didn't say anything about anyone dying in her comment. But Asmongold said, well, fuck them kids in Palestine. They deserve to die. It's a false equivalency going on, comparing soldiers to civilians being genocided. That's crazy work. Abusive, murderous soldiers getting PTSD is the same equivalency as civilians being slaughtered, children being starved to death. That's crazy. I don't know why Ludwig felt he had to even make this defense here, and just to defend Asmongold, his white buddy. That's what it is. That's why he felt he needed to do it.
Well, what about when Frogan said this, crazy thing about U.S. soldiers?
So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws
I'm glad I
are
stopped.
getting genocided. I don't give a
What laws? There's no laws about doing genocide in Palestine. That's on the Israel side.
People who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come.
Us. You're a millionaire. You're some wealthy white millionaire. You're not us. You don't even leave your fucking attic. The fuck are you talking about? He's that privileged. He doesn't have to ever leave his house.
From an inferior culture.
There was a concerted effort by people to go straight to the advertisers. The advertisers.
I'm so glad I stopped following that fucking Nazi Asmongold. He really just turned for the worse. He's gotten even worse than that clip. He's become such a Nazi now.
Which worked with, who were displayed prominently in sections that people viewed as like anti-Semitic. Twitch tried to curb this. They tried to appease advertisers.
And then you find out like Israel's decided to invest in content creators even more than they already were. So you see why a lot of them are still right-wing and doing right-wing shit still. You got Israel still pumping money into that effort on TikTok especially.
Also, the Anti-Defamation League, who's getting involved, and they banned several Arab
The ADL has always been awful. The ADL has always been illegitimate. They defended fucking apartheid. They defended the apartheid. All right, that's how long they've been terrible. When the apartheid was still around in South Africa, ADL motherfuckers were defending that shit and defending the Boers. All right, that's how worthless the ADL is. They've always been just some tool of the fascists to feign civil rights. That's it. They existed to justify the ethno-state of Israel, and then they decided to do some other work in states that have nothing to do with Israel, like South Africa. But Israel liked the South Africa model. It got involved in commenting on that and defending the Nazis over there. Fucking white settlers over there. See what I'm talking about? They never fought. None of the Zionists from Israel have ever fought any actual white supremacists or Nazis. They always align with them or help them. Never, no point in history have they ever fought. It's really weird. It's like they are just Nazis. They're not like real. They're not even Jewish. I don't think any of the people in Israel who run it are actually. They're not like historical Semites in any way. They're not from that region. They're from Europe. Netanyahu's not even that motherfucker's real name. It's Melikowski. He's from fucking Europe. He's white as fuck. He is mayo coated. He's not even no hummus in his background. All right, that hummus they eat is made of fucking mayo. That's what that motherfucker is. He's a white settler colonial. He looks straight up like Hitler's love child. Okay? Look at that motherfucker. If he had a mustache, a tiny mustache, he'd look like Hitler's son. That's what that motherfucker looks like. Straight up like him. Like that sauerkraut.
Following a Habibi rating panel that was at TwitchCon, and you can see the sponsors are in the background of this. This was going viral. I promise you, all of these sponsors got thousands of emails in their inbox after this.
And you pretend
what the fuck happened?
Of this TB Relation League, who's they in advertisers. The advertisers that Twitch worked with, who were displayed prominently in sections that
not for Asmongold for anti-Semitic hate from Muslim streamers just liking Sabra hummus in their panel tier list. Oh, he's saying that no real outrage for the targeted Muslim streamers, but he got outraged for the targeted Muslim streamers, but not Asmongold. He wanted to cape for Asmongold, the Nazi, straight up Nazi.
Fucking disgusting.
Rogan said this, crazy thing about U.S. soldiers.
So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking
If
river.
U.S. soldiers, they demand your defense. They're poor little civilians.
When people who have genocide that's baked into their wall.
I gotta read these texts he has, because the clip that Ludwig mentions but doesn't explain at all. Yeah, it's kind of convenient he didn't. It's kind of convenient that Ludwig did not show this. Asmongold is the largest political commentary streamer on Twitch, by the way. Yeah, right now he is. He didn't used to talk about politics, but now he does nothing but that, and it's always right-wing Nazi shit.
Laws are getting genocided.
This dude has millions of views and followers. Well, then we found out he's partly being botted. Like half of his views are botted at this point. And then that got swept under the rug as soon as it was brought up. He doesn't ever want to talk about it. He bans people who bring it up now.
I don't give a They're terrible people. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture.
There was a concerted effort by people to go straight to the advertisers. The advertisers that Twitch worked with, who were displayed prominently in sections that people viewed as like anti-Semitic. Twitch tried to curb this. They tried to appease.
Twitch banned several Arab streamers following Habibi ratings. Yes, it's so offensive. It was so anti-Semitic. There were even Jewish people on the panel. They tried to frame this as something it wasn't. It's so dumb.
Advertisers and also the Anti-Defamation League.
Yeah, the illegitimate organization. Fuck them.
Was getting involved, and they banned several Arab streamers following a Habibi rating panel that was at TwitchCon, and you can see the sponsors are in the background of this. This was going viral. I promise you, all of these sponsors got thousands of emails in their inbox after this.
Yeah, a bunch of Karens who were really, about genocide contacted them. Yeah.
And you pretend to not be a journalist at all when it suits you. But in my mind, the genocide in Gaza is the biggest issue of our lives. Ludwig, your ass is wearing One Piece shirts all the time in your shows. What do you like about One Piece? Sincerely, what do you like about it? And critical...
I know, yeah. Is he just a fraud? He might just be a fraud.
For like police arrested people, but it is a little. What do you like about it? And critical, you'll cover like police arrested people, but it is a little bit.
Maybe they like the parts where the evil Navy is slaughtering civilians and arresting people and sending them to slave camps. Maybe that's the parts they like.
Gross the way you do it, right? I found it ironic that you made fun of this C-list actress for how she wrote some cringy ass song in response to Russia invading Ukraine. And you were like, oh yeah, the invasion of Ukraine, that's so messed up. I can't even talk about it. You say she's chasing clout. Are you just chasing clout when you make Epstein videos? What even is that criticism? You're much more of a clout chaser than her because you don't even have the fucking balls to have a public stance on the greatest humanitarian issue of our lives. So I'm sincerely asking you not to be like that, to stop that shit. Please say something. I'm a little scared of what your Gaza take is, to be honest, but I just simply cannot imagine somebody who is not a piece of shit. I genuinely don't think that you and Ludwig are pieces of shit, like in real life as individual people.
I wouldn't be averse to saying that they are. After seeing that, yeah, they look like pieces of shit to me. They're opportunists at best. That's the nicest thing you can say about them after that.
But as a brand,
I can't even trust that his stance on Palestine right now is even genuine. He just saw where the wind's blowing. Oh no, well now I give a fuck. All right, I don't trust any of them motherfuckers.
And like, you're coming off as a piece of shit in my book. I sincerely hope that Ludwig and Moist Critical make an empathetic decision to use their platform to voice support for Gaza, because public pressure is the only thing that has even paused this genocide for any amount of time.
Most people across 24 surveyed countries have negative views on Israel. Yeah, every damn one of them now. I don't know any country that supports Israel anymore other than Israel in the U.S. Well, not the people of the U.S. The fucking government does. The Trump administration and the Senate and Congress love them.
It's the only thing that's made any changes in the environment. If you don't say anything, I have...
Camar Abreu Garcia detained by ICE, yeah. ICE has been getting worse since even this.
Have to assume that
they're really fucking around in Chicago, man. I told people they not just arresting foreigners, man. They going after anyone who's black or brown. They fucking with native people who are like American citizens who are black in Chicago right the fuck now. They arresting children. They just doing the same Klansman shit they were doing. Like before this, Civil Rights Act. I mean, they were still doing that even after the Civil Rights Act. I'm just saying, they just being very blatant with it. They're not even being secret about it anymore. They're just using actual police forces to do it. Sanctioned police forces, military forces to go and do that racist shit. We don't know where they're taking those black folks either. They probably lynching them. They're doing that shit again. They've been doing that in my state. Wouldn't be surprised if they're doing that in Illinois somewhere. There's plenty of Nazis there.
Just cynically think nothing will happen to you. But if we look what's happening in our country right now, it's apparent that things will maybe not happen to you, but they will happen to people that you know actually in your real life. They will come for LGBT.
The fuck
will
is
happen
this
to
shit?
people.
Acting United States Attorney Sigel Shatah statement. Israeli official Alexandra skips U.S. court hearing. Oh yeah, that motherfucker got arrested in Vegas. The Israeli national who works directly with Bibi.
That you know actually in your real life. They will come for LGBT people. They will come for
defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal. Yeah, because this was such a dire issue. Yeah, all those trans athletes were really. There were why prices of groceries were going up. The trans athletes, that's why. That's why healthcare is so high. That's why the cost of living is so high. Because it's the trans athletes, all two of them, the ones I can count on one fucking hand.
People who are liberals or on the left
Antifa,
or whatever.
Yeah,
however they
Antifa,
frame it.
a group that doesn't even fucking exist. Antifa's not an actual organization. Anybody can be called Antifa.
Anybody that critiques
DHS calls for media and far left. They just want to stop any sort of leftist movement. That's all these policies are for. Stop opposing us. Stop opposing Nazis' bills. That's all these things are. These um, executive orders and bills and laws they're trying to make. They're just to stop making fun of us Nazis, stop fighting us Nazis. That's all these bills are. That's all they should be named.
State Department, they'll come for you. And I think One Piece hits this message home, this message that a lot of people that have been fighting for their liberation for generations, they already know this. Until everyone is free, no one is free. The fight for Gaza is also a fight for immigrants, refugees, people in the Congo, people in Sudan.
He even acknowledges the issues going on in Congo and Sudan. This is a real one. This is a good channel. I respect this dude.
We must acknowledge that the empire of the world and its pit bull in the Middle East are conducting a genocide and a manufactured famine with our tax dollars. Some people watching this video will be like, what is he even supposed to do? Make like a funny video? There are so many different ways you can frame a video like this. YouTube creators are very creative.
They've done serious videos where they haven't made jokes. So, like, that's not even an excuse. Or they just couldn't think up a funny knock-knock joke for this one. Well, they've done videos where they haven't done that in the first place. This is not a prerequisite for even talking about the issue. It's stupid. It's not an excuse.
Creative on how to approach topics like this in a way that is going to be enjoyed by the viewer in some ways. It's going to be meaningful to the viewer. 2 videos ago, I critiqued Trash Taste for how they whitewash One Piece.
Yeah, those motherfuckers. Fuck that channel. I don't fuck with them. I never watched them, but after seeing that shit, I'm never watching them. That they totally they didn't get it.
And Pat Fascist fans on there.
But then Hassan defends them and says, well, no, they were just going along with the bit. And then they said they don't ever want to fuck with Hassan anymore and have him on their show. So I don't know. He's defending them for no reason. It's stupid.
It's okay. Well,
it is a very political.
What? You told me One Piece is very political.
What aspect?
I just wanted to go over one small thing because when Russia invaded Ukraine, Trash Taste, by their next episode, announced.
Yeah, that's a political episode, huh? We want to do that.
Russia invaded.
And they showed PewDiePie. This motherfucker.
Ukraine, Trash Taste, by their next episode.
Why is he even showing PewDiePie, though? He's not even on that show. This is like old content from PewDiePie. And I'm pretty sure he would side with the Nazis, the Azov group. Anyway.
Announce a Doctors Without Borders charity live stream.
Oh, he was on an episode. He was on an episode. I see. I didn't know he came. Oh, he did. That was the episode he was on when they started talking about Russia. Okay. So you got a Nazi defending you. But that makes you look very I don't know how much that helps the side you're trying to defend. You got a Nazi on your show.
Announce a Doctors Without.
He's finally here.
Borders charity live stream. And while they avoid in the announcement talking about Ukraine and Russia specifically, anybody with a brain knows that they are doing this in a response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Gamers, we have a big announcement. We are going to be doing a 24-hour charity stream. You heard that right. So
guess where the charity money actually went? Not to Ukrainian civilians. It went to the Azov cell. It went to the Svoboda Party. Okay, it went to Nazis. It didn't go to the people you thought it did. If you gave them money, I'm sorry. That's where the fuck it went.
Situation kind of messed up right now for all sorts of different reasons. So we thought we would come together.
It's just like your tax money over here. Like your tax money ain't going to you. It's going to a genocide against Palestinians.
For 24 hours to support Doctors Without.
And part of it went to this too. Part of it went to Ukraine to go and shoot civilians over in Lugansk and Donetsk region, because that's what our guys funded. We funded the genocide of kindergartners, because there's bullet holes in kindergarten schools over in the Donetsk and Lugansk region, done by these Nazis I just pointed out. right? And the UN doesn't even deny that there was a genocide going on there, all right? Because they they recognize the numbers, right? They gave recognition to the people who got slaughtered over there. And then they stopped counting conveniently, just like Israel did after October 7th, and they started slaughtering a bunch of Palestinians. They stopped counting really early, all right, before it got to the 6 digits.
Orders. So they focus on bringing healthcare to areas of conflict and areas that have gone through epidemics. One thing that we definitely need right now in our world situation.
Definitely.
This is a good thing that they did a charity, but they haven't even said a fucking word about this genocide.
Even though the internet or the internet culture and people on the internet,
Yeah, because they don't care about real genocide going on. They care about defending Nazis, and that's what the whole Ukrainian surge was about. You're defending Nazis, okay? Let me see if I can find that one video, all right? I'm tired of motherfuckers caping for Ukraine just like they were caping for that Charlie Kirk motherfucker. Fuck both of them. Fuck the people running Ukraine. I'm not talking about the general public, because there's Ukrainians who obviously did not support the Svoboda Party or the right sector and their Azov military group or unit. 1 second. But those are the motherfuckers that the U.S. decided to back and they gave control to over there. They helped them coup the country and get rid of Yanukovych. All right? Over some bullshit. Oh, well, he was stopping Ukraine from joining the UN, or not the UN, the EU, which is bullshit because the U.S. is the one who stopped Ukraine from joining the EU. The U.S. did that. Victoria Nuland said, fuck the EU. That was her. That wasn't Putin said, no, you can't join the UN, or the EU, I'm sorry. I keep getting them mixed up. But Putin didn't tell Yanukovych not to join them. He was just the fucking last resort after the U.S. fucked up the deal with EU. That Ukraine wanted to do, Yanukovych wanted to do. They wanted Ukraine to be beholden to the IMF exclusively and to go to war with Russia. That's why they fucked up that deal. People don't know that because the U.S. don't want people to know why they support shit. Oh, they just all of a sudden decided to support Ukraine for no reason in 2022. No, there's history. That wasn't some altruistic thing that they were doing. No, they've been fomenting war there for over a decade, and they've been funding Nazis over there since the fucking 40s. They've been propping them up. It's always been, but the U.S. has never been like an actual organic thing. There are Nazis, sure, that were organic in Ukraine, but the bolstering of them is by Western forces like the U.S., Western powers. It's not organic. So, no more like caping for that shit. I'm tired of people who are still doing it today in 2025. I can understand being like, fooled into doing that in 2022, but not now. You need to be a bit more. You need to recognize shit more. And don't even do the whole team sport shit. Oh well, Trump doesn't. It's because Trump doesn't like Ukraine, so it can't be true. But no, that's just performance. He's just saying that just to, do the team sports party politics. He's still supporting Israel and saying, or Ukraine, and still saying, yeah, Europe, you need to start funding them more because we're running out of money and we need to save our money to go fight China and also Venezuela and also Colombia now. And they're just trying to fight anybody who's like divesting from them. And also we need to bail out Argentina, that other Nazi state. Like I've been shitting on Argentina for a while because it's ran by Nazis and some libertarian anarcho-capitalist people who've always been evil, always fucked up economies and countries that the U.S. has like signed off. Like these sort of platforms to install austerity and anarcho-capitalist policies are always promoted by the U.S. They're deliberate forms of destabilizing countries. That's why they happen. Okay, I'm going to my Twitter right quick. I need to focus. I'm trying to find a video, but it might be buried in other shit that I've done. I had the video a while ago. We're gonna watch it if I find it, or at least I'm gonna have it on record. Oh, shit. I should go to media. Unless fucking Elon. Oh man, I notice I'm missing a lot of shit. Okay. Well, apparently X has removed a bunch of media that I've posted. It's convenient. Convenient that happened. Yeah, a lot of the media I've posted is missing. That's really odd. I might be able to find it anyway if I... Damn it. Okay. I'm gonna find it anyway though. Yeah, the SBU chief Yakomenko said the shots came from the Philharmonic Hall, which was basically the Maidan coup controlled territory. The Maidan controlled territory. It wasn't from some state building or anything, or by it's something the state did not hold control of. There were people from the Maidan coup faction who had control of it. So it wouldn't make sense if the Yanukovych police did that. So that didn't make any sense. And there's pictures of it. Okay.
Five, 6 years.
Whoops, not there. One moment. I'm still looking for the video. Man, this is why I gotta spread this shit out. I'm gonna be posting stuff on other platforms instead of just only having it on X. I think I made a Threads, but I don't trust Threads either. They're gonna delete shit because it's controlled by Meta. One moment. I can't believe it, dude. Why would they delete my shit? I mean, I know why they would delete it, but still, pisses me off. Oh, here it is. I found it. I'm gonna link it now. Here we go. Okay. These are the motherfuckers who took over the Maidan protest demonstrations, alright? These are the coup guys. They're Nazis. Alright? These are like right sector Nazi group. And the right sector is like a Nazi group, okay? In Ukraine. We were now been given so much weaponry, not because, as some say, West is helping. Yeah, the U.S. gave these Nazis weapons to do this coup. This was from 2014, right? I mean, what they're saying right here is in 2022. But he's talking about the Maidan demonstration, which happened back in 2014. We were now we were now been given so much weapons, not because of some say West is helping us, not because they want the best for us, but because we perform the tasks set by the West, right? The U.S. Because we are the only ones who are ready to do them. Because we have fun killing, we have fun fighting, okay? They have fun doing genocide. And they like, wow, let's see what's gonna happen. These sound like guys who want to defend people and, you know, just trying to protect their families and civilians. And that is the reason for the new alliance: Turkey, Poland, Britain, and Ukraine.
Туреччина, Польща, Британія, Україна. Тут ми тут флагман, тому що ми
We are the flagman here because we have started a war that has not been seen for 60 years. Guess which war he's talking about? Well, 60 years isn't long enough. What he really means is more so 80 years.
затіяли війну, якої не було вже останніх 60
But I guess it would be 60 years if it was from 2014 when he said this.
років. Так от,
Bandera readings. Guess who? I mean, you can go look up Bandera. That was a Nazi, okay? A Ukrainian Nazi.
уявіть собі, скільки у нас зброї.
So, imagine how many weapons we have, how many veterans we have.
Скільки в нас ветеранів. А тепер уявіть.
And now imagine Russia falls apart, turns into 5 different Russias or whatever. This is a Pentagon strategy. What he's saying here is what the Pentagon has wanted. This is why they would start a war with Russia, all right? Because Russia is not under the complete control of the U.S. All right, Russia nationalized their oil. They nationalized their industries, especially after Yeltsin got out of office. That does not make the U.S. happy. The U.S. does not like when countries do that. You see this happen time and time again. Whenever a country that's not under the thumb of the U.S. does that, that pisses them off. Russia used to be under their thumb because they had Yeltsin and Gorbachev in there doing the bidding of the U.S. But then once Putin came in, he started undoing some of that. And he's not like a communist or anything, but the U.S. thought he was a communist, all right? Or they thought he was doing stuff that was too communist for their liking. When you nationalize resources, they don't care if you love Karl Marx or not. They see that as commie shit.
Зникає Росія. Вона
They don't want you nationalizing their oil.
Тобто виникає там 5 Росій, там недо Росії і так далі. На європейському континенті найбільше.
I mean, Putin did serve the communist state before it became, you know, before it, you know, the Soviet Union stopped being a thing. But they think he's still a communist. Well, compared to the U.S., I guess he is, but that's just something a normal state would do anyway. Like, you're trying to serve a state that's serving its people is typically going to try to nationalize their resources.
Тільки в Британії там, здається, більше.
We have the most javelins. Oh wait, we have the most javelins on the European continent. Maybe only the UK has more.
На європейському континенті найбільше. Тільки в Британії там, здається, більше. Ви розумієте, цей потенціал...
This potential of these armed forces will immediately become a problem for all those.
Цих збройних сил, це стане проблемою зразу для всіх.
He's saying we're stronger than the UK. We're stronger than the European continent. He doesn't like Europe. I mean, he says only the UK has more. Right? Does this sound like a guy who wants to be part of the EU to you? The main reason given for why Yanukovych just had to go?
Розумієте, цей потенціал...
This potential of these armed forces will immediately become a problem for all those.
Цих збройних сил, це стане проблемою зразу для всіх, хто зараз нам десь там намагається.
who are now trying to give us problems.
Намагається робити хенті уколи. І оце от є наша радість і наша
Is our joy and our sorrow.
Чому, щоб ви розуміли, чому
Need to
так все
understand
важко?
why.
Не тому, що
Yes, it is hard, not because we're Ukrainians. Our ass has suffered for 300 years.
ми, українці, 300 років, наша дупа страждала. Чому ж нарешті влада до нас не впаде?
Why finally everything good not just given to us. We such a good people.
Такі хороші, ми хочемо в
We
Європу.
want to join Europe. Okay? Does he sound like he wants does this sound like a guy who's, you know, unhappy that they didn't join the EU?
Ні, це
Not joining the EU was always a Western sort of sabotage. It wasn't Russia.
величезна, потужна держава.
No, we are a huge, powerful state. And if we come to power, it will be both joy and problems for the whole world. Okay? There's Nazis admitting it. They don't want peace. They want to cause problems for the whole world.
Якщо ми тут прийдемо до влади, це буде і радість, і проблеми для всього світу. Тому це величезна, амбітна задача.
Therefore, it is a huge, ambitious task. We live in a very cool time.
Надзвичайно амбітна, класна
Okay?
ціль. Не просто
That's the name of this guy. He's from C14. C14 is a Nazi group. I should have just pointed this out. Yevhen Karas. That's who's speaking right now. All right, you can go look him up. These are Nazis. It's not something I made up, not something Putin made up. You can go look at it right now. That's what the fuck they are. They're Nazis. Okay? This is who the U.S. backed. He's just admitting it. 1 second. So I don't want to hear any, like, caping for these motherfuckers. Apologia. I'm tired of Nazi apologia from this people in this fucking country. They make me not want to trust their ass. They not our allies. They might be Nazis in the closet when I still see that today in 2025. Okay. All right. I'm just going to show this. Fuck even pointing this out. We're just going to fucking straight up look at it. Right? I'm not pulling shit out of my ass. C14, also called S14. See? So S14, also known as C14 or Sich. Ukrainian is a neo-Nazi Ukrainian nationalist group founded in 2010. Okay, I didn't make it up. In 2018, it gained notoriety for its involvement in the violent attacks on Romani camps. Okay? Shit that the Nazis also did. In 2020, the group rebranded as a Foundation for the Future. S14 was founded in 2010 as the youth wing of the ultra-nationalist political party Svoboda Party. Okay, I pointed them out. That's what they were. They were a Svoboda Party-backed Nazi group. And Svoboda Party is a far-right Nazi group that has political power. Or has a political sort of party. But, you know, it's not popular, but it still has influence. A lot of people don't understand that Nazis don't need to be popular to have influence. Hitler was not actually popular. He got support from wealthy fascists who propped him up. Like, Hitler did not even get to be leader by, like, a vote. He got to be leader because Hindenburg appointed him leader, right? He was a hired fascist dog by the wealthy aristocracy, okay? The colonials, the plutocracy, the Western colonials. Yeah, they were involved with the skirmishes with the violent pro-government supporters known as Titushky in November. That's from 2014, yeah. I didn't read that part. S14 was one of the far-right groups active during the Euromaidan movement, 2013 to 2014. This is the coup. This is what I'm talking about. This is the Maidan coup. That's what this was. This was backed by the U.S. The U.S. backed these fucking Nazis to do a coup and to run Yanukovych out, and then they voted him out as president, as strong-armed by these Nazis, this Nazi party. Okay? Anyway. Let's listen to the rest of it.
Просто стати
Okay?
там частинкою.
Not just become a part of European family that has already collapsed. They didn't want to be part of the EU. They just straight up telling you.
Європейської сім'ї, яка вже там
They
розвалилася.
didn't get rid of Yanukovych for that reason.
А це є вже...
This is about a new political alliances on the global level. New political challenges.
Це про те, що нові політичні альянси вже глобального рівня, нові політичні виклики.
Okay, about Maidan and the topic of European integration was just a screen. Maidan, West-sponsored coup of 2014 in Ukraine. That's the accurate description of it.
Націоналістичні ідеї.
Maidan was the victory of the nationalist ideas, the Nazi ideas.
Націоналісти якби були...
Nazis were the key factor there, and clearly at the front lines.
Там ключовим
Yeah, they were there. They're C-14.
Однозначно і на фронті. Зараз дуже багато є спекуляцій.
Now there is a lot of speculation saying, well, there were only a few neo-Nazis. Yeah, to try to whitewash for people over here who don't want to believe that, yeah, we support Nazis. Your government supported Nazis. Even before Trump. They always loved Nazis. That's why you get these shitty choices like Trump, because they supported Nazis from before him.
Нацика вже ж було небагато, там, ЛГБТшники, там, посольства.
LGBT and foreign embassies saying there were not much neo-Nazis on Maidan, maybe about 10% of real ideological ones. Yeah, these front groups who were hired to whitewash for them. These aren't real legitimate LGBT groups, and they're not legitimate sort of human rights groups. They're just there to do damage control for what the West is backing over here, which is Nazis and a fascist coup.
Ну скільки там було там нациків? Ну нациків там було там 10% там, запаяних ідейних. Ну це ж питання в тому, це може так казати.
It's what the ADL is. The ADL is a front. And they will whitewash straight up South African apartheid Boers. All right? That's what they do. They've been whitewashing Nazis for a while. There's always some front group to try to whitewash for these Nazis that the U.S. backs or the collective West backs. The thing is that such a thing can say only a moron that never was at war. Yeah, they're saying the people are either stupid. I would say they're just lying. They're not stupid. They know you guys are Nazis. They know that Nazis took it over. Because they just bullied people and they started using real weapons to direct action over there. Most of the other people were unarmed. The Nazis weren't, though. So they were able to control the situation much more. The thing is that such a thing can say only a moron that never was at war.
Лише Йов, який не був на війні, не знає, наскільки...
And don't understand that those 10%, maybe even less, 8%.
Оцих от 10%, хоча там навіть може даже менше було, я думаю, націоналістів було хай там даже 8%, но наскільки...
But how much they are much more effective in the proportion of influence. That's what's relevant here. He's telling you straight up, it don't matter how much there were. It was probably some less than 8% of the people at that fucking protest were Nazis. But they didn't have any influence. Those fucking unarmed hippies didn't have any influence, he's saying. We did. Us Nazis bullied the shit out of them and we controlled the situation, controlled the actions that happened in the aftermath.
Це в пропорції ефективності впливу, наскільки це складало просто галопуючи.
How much their effectiveness was endless.
Безкінечно.
Yeah, he's saying the Nazis' effectiveness was endless. It didn't matter how many there actually were.
Не було б цих 8%.
There was enough to have influence. If not for those 8% of neo-Nazis, the effectiveness of Maidan would have dropped by 90%.
Він упав до 90%. То тут
He's saying that's how influential they were. Damn near 100%. So it's the numbers. It's the numbers is not the point.
Числі мова. Так само, як на Майдані. Зараз уже
Like, now some left-wingers, these motherfuckers they're not left-wing. Right? You're supporting these motherfuckers. They paraded C-14 motherfuckers in your face and saying they were heroes all throughout 2022 and 2023, and then they started pulling back in 2024 because people started putting they started connecting these dots. If you thought these motherfuckers were left wingers, they're telling you straight up, no. We were Nazis. We hate left wingers. Did he say, like this front group is saying, yeah, they were doing damage control for them. They're like some front leftist group or foundation doing damage control for Nazis because they're not a legitimate left-wing foundation. And so on, trying to count numbers.
Ліваки, там фонди Бьоля, там і так далі перераховувати. Ну, націоналістів там було.
Saying something like, there were that many nationalists, they had that much influence.
Було там, да, вони були впливові, там. Та які впливові? Не було націоналістів, себе це...
If not for the nationalists, that whole thing would have turned into a gay parade. We're showing how much they really love the LGBT over there. Okay, the people who did the Maidan coup, they just really loved LGBT people, and they were afraid that the Russians were just going to kill all the LGBT people. And they were just trying to protect gay people. Clearly, this guy, he loves them. He wanted to protect them. That's why they did a coup and ousted Yanukovych. All right? I don't know why you would even trust anything the U.S. is saying about any country at this point, much less this one. And this is who they support. This is who the fuck they support. Look at who they call a terrorist. People who are trying to feed children in Palestine. They're classified as terrorists and Nazis in Hamas or some dumb shit. Yeah, Greta Thunberg, that Swedish girl, is controlled by these Muslim terrorists in Palestine. Yeah, shut up.
Пошло би сразу на гей-парад.
Okay? No more bullshit about Ukraine. I will fight anybody on the issue of them fucking, defending the Ukraine, the Ukraine state right now. You can't tell me nothing. You can't gaslight me on Ukraine. You need to call out your Nazis. Stop bullshitting. You need to call them out there, call them out at home, call them out in Israel. Anyway. I think my mic... This is my stream. Let me close this. Home, call them out in Israel. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it's still going. Yeah, Luffy would hate these shitters.
Gotten more PC than ever before. And yet, like, almost counterintuitively...
Wait, who went PC? I said this was going to be brief, but we're getting into a lot of, like... a lot of deep subjects, so I'm extending this. Alright, fuck it. It's still early for a Friday. I got time to go do the shit that I wanted. I'm gonna finish this video, that's for damn sure. One moment, I'm gonna get up right quick. Also got them fucking Ukrainian Nazis fucking around in Africa right now. They're helping with the genocide over in Africa. Right now they're helping fucking UAE stooges over there do genocide against black folks. Fuck them. Israel too. Fucking IDF soldiers over there fucking around in Africa too. They all the white settler colonial Nazis stick together. They all have the same agenda. Fuck them. I don't care.
Even though the internet or the internet culture and people on...
I don't care what you think about Ukraine. I lost a friend because of that Ukraine shit too. They decided they wanted the cape for Nazis. Some bullshit.
the internet in the past 5-6 years have gotten more PC than ever before. And yet, like, almost counterintuitively, there's more fucked up shit that has, like, come out onto the surface as well.
Am I weird for being like...
Oh, yeah. I also got to talk about that. What's that shit? They try to say that, oh, yeah, Tim Pool is controlled by the Russian government because of some random guys at a company that's actually owned by an Asian American woman. What's the name of it? I'm gonna go look it up right quick. I do need to comment on that shit. That shit keeps coming up too damn much to not counter. Fuck this. 1 second. Something media. I'm gonna debunk that shit too. All right. Tim Pool is an Israeli stooge. He's an Israeli puppet, not Russia. Okay, I'm just trying to look up the name of them. Then I'll point out some shit about it. Yeah, Tenet Media. That's the name of them. All right. This is the so-called Russian or Kremlin-controlled media that's paying right-wing influencers in the U.S. Yeah, the guys that are telling us we need to go against Russia's ally, China. That makes a lot of fucking sense. Yeah, because those right-wing pundits are all about denazification, yeah, historically. Sure they are. Russia actually celebrates Victory Day, the victory over the Nazis. None of these right-wing motherfuckers do. Okay. Tenet Media was an American right-wing media company founded by conservative political commentator Lauren Chen, okay? It's not really a Russian company. She's from Hong Kong in Canada. Her family came from Hong Kong and she's Canadian. So she's part of the fucking Five Eyes apparatus, not really Russia. Yeah. Tenet Media had their own like 6 right-wing influencers, okay? Yeah, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson. But these are just in Dave Rubin, yeah, I know that motherfucker. These are just typical. This is American. There's nothing really Russian here. What if they criticize Ukraine? That doesn't mean they work for Russia though. Like just because you can, like a broken clock can be right twice a day, it doesn't mean that they are, always right, or they were always of that time. Is what I'm saying. Or you know what I mean? A broken clock right twice a day. That doesn't mean that they have to be like working for anybody. They're serving U.S. interests. U.S. interests. These are like right wing. These are typical right wing interests that they had. Was like, yeah, we want to be racist. We want to be Nazis, and that's also Ukraine though. Ukraine wants that shit. The people running it anyway. They have like Nazi camps, Nazi summer camps for children. Israel has that same shit for killing Palestinians. You can LARP as someone who slaughters Palestinians before actually doing it when you grow up. Okay, so just 2 CEOs or something, so these 2 businessmen. Like, what is there's never any connection to actual Russian administration or anything, anyone in the government with these guys that they're pointing out who work, two Russian guys who supposedly also worked at this company. They didn't manage to show any sort of actual material connection to the Kremlin or Putin or anything. So it's just very tenuous shit. You can't use this to say, oh, well, they serve the Russian government. They're doing propaganda for the Russian government. This is ignorant. It's a Western chauvinist trick. This is as dumb as saying like Yeonmi Park, because she's from North Korea. That means she's doing North Korean propaganda, even though she's shitting on North Korea, and she lives in the U.S. and is doing the bidding of U.S. CIA propaganda. Not exactly North Korea. Just because someone's from another country does not mean that they work for the government of the country that they're expats from. You know, that's just a logical fallacy. So yeah, there's no actual Putin connection here. It was always like you got two people who happen to be Russian, and they just love right-wing American shit, and that's why they work at this company. I'm trying to find their names. Like I'm trying to also find transcripts from their court case, and it's like very little damning things from it. What are the views? They say, oh, well, the views expressed in the videos are not uniform. Most are directed to the publicly stated goals of government Russia. What are they? To trade with China? And to let other countries have autonomy, like grow Africa? This isn't a typical right-wing position. They say like there's too many black people. They want Africa to be colonized and for South Africa to run Africa. You know, the apartheid state that used to be there. They want that to come back. They think Elon Musk is right on that. It says we need to save Africa from the black people, the natives. Right? Those people follow Elon Musk. These Russian guys who might be right wing, they would follow him if anything. Not Putin. U.S. officials allege Russian operatives. Alleged. U.S. officials alleged. No proof. All right. There's more money from Israel going into there. They're influencing that tenant media more than Russia ever has. So it's stupid. Anyway, yeah, I had to debunk that. There's nothing else other than those two guys. I just wanted to find their names, and even finding their names is hard, but they just mentioned those two guys. Like, I'm clicking on the links here. Like, there's very little fucking sources, though. There's very little primary sources about these guys. These alleged Russian CEOs. They went to court here. Like, where's the info? Okay. I found the name. Okay. Kalishnikov and Afanasayeva. I'm trying to find their first names. The Kalishnikov is so damn common. Okay, I found the name. Okay. Konstantin Kalishnikov, 31, also known as Kostya, and Elena Afanasieva. It sounds like that's a woman's name, 27, also known as Lena, with conspiracy to violate foreign agents' registration. This is the same accusation they alleged against that one woman from Huawei that got held by Canada, because Canada's fascist. They help the U.S. do their own, do all of the, or they used to. They're kind of on sour relationship right now, but they help the U.S. do their whole fascist sort of operations. They also help train Azovs. I've already played that video on a stream. Canadian government helped train Nazis to go start war with Russia. Right? There was reporting about that. They admitted to it. They didn't even, like, the government didn't even deny it. They trained Nazis. And they said, we need to kind of like, we need to tell those Nazis to dial it down a little bit back home because, you know, we don't want them to know that we're supporting Nazis. It won't play well in the media. And that's what the whole report was about. Not about stopping that. Not about stopping the funding and training of Nazis. It's like the priorities were really bad in that report. No, so the problem isn't that we're funding Nazis, is that, you know, they need to be a bit more silent about it so it plays well back home. Like, what the fuck? All right, okay, I'm going to get back to the video.
Middle ground on everything?
I just find that a little bit interesting, right?
And it's all alleged shit. They never proved any connection with the Russian government. Yeah, some people from another country, that doesn't mean that they are government officials. Like, show them in a room with Putin or talking to Putin. There's none of that. There's no primary evidence of that ever happening.
Fuck you, Trash Taste.
If you're more concerned with
Like, if you go to another country and start shitting on some other country, that doesn't mean you work for the U.S. government. It doesn't mean that the government told you to do that. This is what you got to think about. You got to think about what is a logical fallacy and what's actually true.
saving yourself from criticism than with saving lives in Gaza, your moral compass is broken.
The vast majority of journalism in One Piece is top-tier dog shit, just like our journalism. But occasionally someone comes out and does some goddamn real reporting, just like in our world. And then Israel kills him.
We're learning more about that double tap attack on Monday, that pair of Israeli strikes that killed 22 people, including 5 journalists. The Israeli military struck Nasser Hospital at least 4 times.
And instead of blaming Hamas for killing the journalist, they say, yeah, we killed that 2020.
And then you got people who like really fear RT. And it's pretty silly, but also funny, because then you got to think about, well, just because there's government media, that doesn't mean that they adhere to the government or that the government itself even likes them. All right. Look at what Trump did to PBS. All right. That's government media. PBS and NPR are government media. But clearly, this administration thinks they're bad. They don't agree with PBS and NPR. So this is what you got to think about. You can't think that public media is so scary because another country has it when you have it and your own government's against it. That's just silly. You got to use some critical thinking. Like, government media doesn't ergo mean, yeah, we support everything the government says and the government loves us. Like, RT especially criticize Putin a lot. They don't love Putin. They don't love the government.
4 Pulitzer Prize-winning journalists and his 4 colleagues, and they were all Hamas. That
22 people, including 5 journalists. The Israeli military struck Nasser Hospital at least 4 times.
And instead of blaming Hamas for killing the journalist, they say, yeah, we killed that 2024 Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and his 4 colleagues, and they were all Hamas. That's one of 2 of their idiotic, empty lies they deploy to insist on being immune to
every civilian has
Israel's
to become
military
Hamas.
says it's killed prominent Al Jazeera correspondent Anas al-Sharif. Israel claims he was the leader of a Hamas cell planning rocket attacks.
You are probably...
Yeah, everyone's Hamas. Every member of the press becomes Hamas. All right, who gets killed. We don't kill civilians in press. They all have to be Hamas.
Hamas pays you. Hamas.
Hostages.
Hamas.
If Israel really gave a fuck about Hamas, they would have stopped them a long time ago. But no. Israel helped prop them up and help Hamas. They helped get rid of Hamas opposition. Right? Hamas exists as a convenient excuse for the U.S. The U.S. as well, and Israel to continue their expansions and genocide in Palestine and in the West Bank. That's why they don't ever get rid of Hamas. They never actually try to hit Hamas. They know where Hamas is. And it would be easy to just target them directly instead of all the fucking civilians. But they don't. Because that's not the real agenda. They exist as a convenient sort of red herring. an excuse to continue doing all the awful shit that they do. And BB has admitted to funding Hamas through shell companies via Qatar. All right, he never really wanted to get rid of them. They exist as too convenient a scapegoat.
Hamas. Look at this Hamas chief engineer carrying what looks like an explosive. He's disguised as a baby.
Because when you have an opposition that's like religious, like they're just some more right-wing religious sort of party, at least proportionate to their secular parties that the U.S. and Israel helped get rid of. So as the only opposition left to Israel is these religious, more right-wing parties, such as Hamas was, and they've grown more secular over the years. As the with all the shit that's been going, they've had no choice. It's not really about religion anymore at this point. We just got to survive. So, we got to do whatever the fuck we can. But they still exist as with that reputation of being a more right-wing religious party. So that helps Israel with their narrative. This just a bunch of right-wing extremists, religious Islamist extremists. That's what we have to deal with. Okay, so you gotta understand why we gotta kill them all, right? But we can't really get rid of Hamas because then we won't have that excuse anymore. We can't just say everybody's just a Hamas and an Islamist extremist anymore unless we get like a new group that we claim is also, or we have to get a more of a legitimate right-wing religious group. If we can't create it, we'll have them replace them. All right, but otherwise we can't say that if they're gone.
He's going to explode our IDF troops.
There are creators who cover the news. That is all they do. David Pakman, Brian Tyler Cohen, they make multiple videos a day. David Pakman releases literally 8 videos a day, and it's all Trump. Not a single fucking word about Gaza. That motherfucker is
all partisan politics.
Morally bankrupt that I honestly...
They always want to just say, it's just one guy that's the problem for why this is happening. Even though the genocide existed even before Trump. And then they always want to have people blaming Netanyahu and not the Israeli state itself. Well, if we only get rid of Netanyahu, as like Bernie says, then we can justify the Israeli state and, they'll stop being Nazis and they'll stop genociding. No. The whole problem is the Israeli state. It's been that way even before Bibi came into control or power. So the problem is not just Netanyahu. They were doing Nakbas before him.
I don't know if he's human anymore. I'm serious. Does this guy have a soul? Did he take his soul out to be like this? Brian Tyler Cohen, he's never said the word Gaza in his life. He acts like he doesn't know what Palestine is. And these guys are so close to the...
Palestine has existed since even the Roman era. It's been around for eons, over millennia, many millennia. Palestine is referenced throughout history, not Israel. Israel is a new state that was established in the 20th century.
Democratic Party and all their donors. They are just agents of the U.S. State Department.
Do you understand?
And then there's the Vlog Brothers, John Green, Hank Green. They cover news topics all the time. They project this air of being like these really empathetic people. John Green writes these shallow books about like young adults' feelings. These motherfuckers haven't said shit. In fact, on the Vlog Brothers channels, there's a video where, I don't know which one of them are, honestly, like John Green or Hank Green. They make a video where they explain Palestine and Gaza and Israel. The amount of misinformation in this old-ass video, it's fucking embarrassing.
Both Palestine and Israel have unfairly attacked and dehumanized the other, and it's useless, albeit tempting, to make historical judgments about whose awfulness has been worse.
My eyes! My eyes!
Charlie, we have decided to help the people of Israel to give our oil back to us.
My head is like swelling
It's
with knowledge,
freedom, Charlie.
like wonderful knowledge.
It's in.
Oh, wait a minute. Was that Always Sunny in Philadelphia? They did a segment about Israel. I need to go see that clip.
Has been worse.
Charlie, we have decided to help the people of Israel to give our oil back to us.
My head is like.
Help the people of Israel to give our oil back to us. They're making it sound even more ridiculous than. I mean, it is ridiculous. That's the explanation they used to go with. It's oil. I don't know. I need to watch this episode.
Swelling
It's
with knowledge,
freedom, Charlie.
like wonderful knowledge.
It's insane that people publish this shit without actually learning it. They frame it as anyone who's not crazy thinks a two-state solution is the best idea. Why?
No, you can't. You can't have a two-state solution with an ethno-state. That's silly. That is not going to work. You need to get rid of that ethno-state. Right? A two-state solution is what they were proposing back during apartheid South Africa too. It was bullshit then. It's bullshit now.
White liberals LARPing as empathetic, smart, holier than thou creators. And their silence during this genocide shows how empty they truly are. They fucking suck. But the truest, most fucked up thing that enables this genocide is something not surprising. Why does this happen? How do we let
DCAP ban. Oh yeah, the Irish group. Yeah, these guys are great. These are good ones. These are real ones. Fuck Canada. Canada's a cucked Nazi settler colonial state. This is part of the problem of Canada. It could be so much better, but no. Its roots are in the same white supremacist settler colonialism. So yeah, they defend white settler colonial colonies like Israel, and they ban bands that are, speak out against oppression.
let this happen? Well, what if I told you that the largest corporations in the world are literally making money from the genocide, selling their technology to Israel to use AI, to use facial recognition.
Yeah, this is the problem with Amazon. Amazon's been working with the CIA as well, even without even acknowledging the Israel problem. They're a CIA fucking asset, which fucks with every damn country. They depose many countries. Fuck them. Yeah, they manage the cloud infrastructure for these spook networks. They help the Mossad and CIA and MI6
track to harvest
all
data.
Of them, all these imperialist intelligence agencies
on every single person. So the question that jumps into any reasonable person's mind who has some humanity left in their soul is why and how? How is this allowed to happen? The broad public wants to end the genocide. We don't want to watch babies to starve. We don't want to watch hospitals be bombed and reduced to rubble.
Year 2025.
Yeah.
The world is seeing something that looks terrible, and it's being done in my name. And I don't know what to do.
So before we can answer how,
done in my name.
Oh, this is Richie Torres talk Zionism LGBT in the Bronx. Okay. They had him freelance. I've never watched this show.
And I don't know what to do.
But that might be interesting to watch. I'm not going to watch it now, but I'm just.
And it's being done in my name. And I don't know what to do.
So before.
Colonialism only loosens its hold when the knife is at its. Exactly. Like, they don't care about nonviolent protests. Nazis don't fear that. They fear their knife. They fear their throat being compromised. That's the only time they let up.
We can answer how.
A show of organized skill and valid anti-establishmentism will always bring on violence from the fascist. Yeah. The people know this, so they must also know that this violence can be countered before they'll believe and respond. Let's the ruling class tremble at a communist revolution. That's my favorite line in all of Marx and Engels. From Fanon, it's the time for talking has ended. The time for acting has begun. Long live the gorilla. Exactly. This is what people over here need to understand. If you really want to oppose these motherfuckers, trying to appeal to their, their sympathetic or empathy bone isn't going to work. They don't have that. They purged that. They're not going to feel sorry for you ever. Nonviolent protests are not going to cut it. Right? They don't even care about rules anymore. Like, they think they care about rules. Telling them they're not following the rules is not going to make them care either. Right? Trying to do civility politics with fucking Nazis is silly. All right? They want to grind you up. They want to Holocaust you. They don't give a fuck about following the rules. They don't care how hurt your feelings are. They don't care if it's not fair to you. They don't care they don't care. They want to steamroll over you. They don't fear you. All that shit, all that non-violent demonstration, they don't care, dude. They're not gonna they're not gonna pull back. You're gonna have to actually oppose them in a real way. You're gonna have to go after the resources, if not them themselves.
Us understand why. The paralyzing question for many people, because to us, to our own humanity, crimes like this are unthinkably evil. There is no justification for it.
That's why I said, like, the shit that Italy's doing is a good start. Fuck with their ports, the ports in trade, okay? Block anything going to Israel from your country. That's a good start. All right, that fucks with their resources. This is something I've suggested before, and Italy did it. More countries need to do that. Colombia is doing it. They've stopped trade with Israel. Just more dominoes need to follow.
Profit. Follow the money. Many of the largest companies on Earth have benefited from this genocide in ways that we can't understand without thinking about the material benefits to the owning class. The people who own virtually everything in the world. People who exchange their humanity for more power. People who give into their world. People who exchange benefits to the...
Was that motherfucker Sam Hyde? Was that him? The fuck was he on?
Genocide in ways that
we piece of shit
can't understand without thinking about the...
He had such potential until he turned full-on Nazi. He used to be kind of funny. But then he decided to become even more of a Nazi than ever. He's like a super Nazi now.
Material benefit.
Yeah, that's fucking Sam Hyde. What the fuck is he on? Order from Amazon how tech giants are restoring mass data for,
to the owning class.
That's for sure.
The people who own virtually everything in the world. People who exchange their humanity for more power. People who give into their disgusting, grotesque greed at the cost of all human lives. People who believe in nothing outside of themselves and their power.
Israel doing isn't bad. Killing children isn't bad.
Nothing outside of themselves.
Fuck Sam Hyde. Fuck all these losers.
Israel doing isn't...
That's Charlie Jerkoff right there. But he's a father. He laughed at a bunch of fathers that died. Charlie Kirk don't give a fuck. And like, there's another thing about the whole... I'm trying to remember. Okay, well, you said there's these people who are defending Charlie Kirk. Well, it's no... You have to be nice to Charlie Kirk. And I'm like, why? I mean, because he was because free speech, you don't want to harm anybody for free speech. But why are you getting mad at the people who are just exercising their free speech by shitting on Charlie Kirk? It's just free speech. They're not harming anyone. It's just a free speech. Why don't they keep the same energy for the people who criticize them? It's really weird. Like, I'm talking about this, of course Nazis don't give a fuck. The fucking right-wingers don't care. They're not being honest. But you got these other people who are like, these white moderates who take the bait and they start parroting this same bullshit argument. Like, well, you gotta be nice to Charlie Kirk. You got the fucking Moist Criticals saying you got to do this shit, and I'm like, what for? He said we shouldn't have empathy, and we're just exercising our free speech. Why do we need to be nice? It seems you're not really for free speech, is what you're telling me. Yeah, fuck off. Anybody telling me that shit, they would sell us out anyway. I divest from those people saying that shit. I don't need their support. I don't need them on my side. They are Nazi apologists, and they will roll over for any Nazis who start taking over. They will not defend us. I mean, they will not defend us. They will not defend you. They will sell you out.
Bad. Killing children isn't bad, is what you're saying?
Hold on a second, but you have to go instance by...
Is it or not?
I need a yes
Are
or
they
no.
intentionally killing kids? Is that what you're saying? Yes.
No, they are not.
What the fuck? Oh, that's what they're talking. They're talking about Israel there. Okay. Yeah, they are. They've
And
even
that's
said
how-
that they directly target shooting babies in the head. They are spawn of Amalek and shit.
Israel doing isn't bad. Killing children isn't bad, is what you're
That's what they say. They want to get rid of all of them. They don't care if they're children.
saying?
Hold on a second, but you have to go
Is
instance
it
by...
or not? I need a yes
Are
or
they
no.
intentionally killing kids? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
they
they
are
are.
not.
Oh yeah, blocking baby formula isn't an intentional attempt to kill children at all. Shooting them in the head isn't either. Yeah, shooting pregnant women, that's not an attempt to kill kids. They're trying to protect those kids because their mom's Hamas.
One of the most difficult aspects of speaking against this genocide is that you have the vast majority of people on your side, but the other side that is pro-genocide is extremely powerful.
You don't believe what they've done is genocide?
No, of course not. It's a non-existent place. I don't think the place exists.
You have the...
Okay. We're supposed to feel sorry for this guy? Why? You're retarded. Straight up. And
most
I don't care.
Powerful state in the region, backed by the most powerful empire in the world.
You keep caping for this dead Nazi, this dead fucking Hitler apologist. You're stupid.
Which acts on behest of the most wealthy people and corporations in the world. And these content creators with the largest voice, they resemble more of the owning class. They are silent about it because they want to protect their wealth. That is just a fact.
How can you know that I'm self-censoring? How can you
I
know
don't say
that
you're
journalists
self-censoring. I'm sure you believe everything you're saying. But what I'm saying is if you believe something different, you wouldn't be sitting where you're sitting.
They probably...
That was the most salient thing Noam Chomsky's probably ever said before he's a controlled op. He was allowed to say something because he was controlled by the establishment, really. He's an establishment industry plant. But he was allowed to say some things because he was an establishment industry plant. He was controlled enough to where he was the pressure release valve. But he was compromised, sadly. But he was right about what he said there for sure. Yeah, a lot of our pundits and newscasters, reporters, they are selected because of how very uncurious and very uncritical they will be, right? They're selective in who they choose to speak and provide info to you. Well, these guys are already on board. They know that their way of life will be compromised if they point out certain things. So they're going to self-censor and convince themselves to believe the reasons for why they got to self-censor, because these are lies. This is just Hamas lies. So we're not going to talk about that. They convince themselves to believe that everything that's bad that's said about Israel is just Hamas lies. That's basically what Chomsky was talking about. I mean, he wasn't just talking about Israel there, but he's talking about the entire sort of system. Like anything evil that our system is responsible for or is supporting, there's a good reason for it. That's basically what he's saying. And they get people like that news reporter who's going to be very uncritical and very uncurious. to defend the system. They're not going to go against. They're not going to rock the boat. They're not going to go against the grain.
Will disagree, but then why are you not saying anything?
The great trust from a demolished Iranian proxy to a prosperous Abrahamic ally. The great trust from a demolished Iranian.
Huh? Is it not because you're worried that sponsors will pull out? And if you're just worried about upsetting some people?
If you're more concerned with saving yourself from criticism than with saving lives in Gaza, your moral compass is broken.
Above these creators who could be on the people's side and speak and use their enormous voice.
Yeah, Charlie Brown got political quite a few times. I wonder if this sketch is, or this strip is. I'm having trouble in school again, Chuck. You have any suggestions? Do your homework. Don't sleep in class, and never try to give a report on a book you haven't read. I hate talking to you, Chuck. Okay.
To support the most powerless people in the world. People above them are the massive corporations who are literally profiting.
Microsoft blocks Israel's use of its technology in mass surveillance of Palestinians. Yeah. They've done that pretty recently, too. When was this video made? I thought this was like a few months old, but... Oh, it's from 5 days ago. Never mind. Yeah, no wonder he's pointing this out.
From the genocide. Companies like Microsoft...
I remember reading about this being a recent thing. I thought this thing was like... This video was like a few months old, but no.
Alphabet, otherwise known as Google, the Israel military publicly admitted to using Amazon Web Services to enhance its capabilities during its war on Gaza, along with Google and Microsoft Cloud Services. Caterpillar. For decades, Caterpillar has been supplying Israel with D9 armored bulldozers, which the Israeli military routinely uses to demolish Palestinian homes and civilian infrastructure in the occupied West Bank and to enforce the blockade of the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military has also used Google facial recognition features as part of its mass surveillance of Palestinians in Gaza during the war. In April 2024, Google fired more than 50 employees who protested the company's activities.
Yeah, fuck Google. Google is basically a asset of the CIA surveillance and NSA surveillance apparatus. So yeah, they've been compromised. This is the type of shit they just do now.
Palestine. In February 2025, Google's parent company, Alphabet, lifted a ban on using its AI tools for military purposes, such as developing weapons and surveillance tools. Isn't that so fun that AI is being used to support a genocide?
I know,
Who
right?
would have ever saw this happening? And there are many more companies. I will have links in the description going over those other war profiteers. But
this is such a good channel, man. I'm glad I found this channel.
End of the day, the wealthy are extracting more wealth through this genocide and occupation of Palestinian land. Horrible atrocities happen in One Piece. After all, the strongest force that controls the vast majority of the world is called the world government. And the world government is an institution that exists explicitly to serve the owners of the world. In One Piece, they are the ultra wealthy, the creators of the world.
Celestial Dragons, which is the ultra wealthy group. They basically just represent, like I said before, the top 1% of the 1%. Wealthy people. They have autonomy. It's illegal to backtalk to them or much less touch them. So if you try to attack them, they'll call like what is the equivalent of like a drone strike onto your entire city. If you dare to harm a celestial dragon. That's how fucked up it is. And this is the type of shit, it's not that far off from how our world is, You dare even like do the slightest sort of pushback against like powerful figures or countries, they'll like bring war to you. They will bomb your town. So yeah.
Live out of reach of the peasants known as...
The Buster Call isn't literally a bomb or a drone strike, but that's basically what it's practically a representation of. it's something else in One Piece, but it's like that's what the analogy's supposed to be, right? We will destroy your town if you fuck with us, elite.
Them. And they are protected by the most elite soldiers
We will blow
of
up
the
an
military,
island.
obedient robot police, Secret Service, and a special fighting force known as the Holy Knights. It is a structure of the world that resembles our world. The United States and its vassals exist primarily for the owners of the world, the people that own all the land, air, and water, and they want more. They want it all. They own all the politicians. As George Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. Now in One Piece and real life, the Empire of the World exploits people with less power to protect their class position and reinforce their wealth with taking more and more.
See, these people they're showing right now, they just showed the Gorosei, who are the world government heads. These guys right here are the Gorosei. It's a bunch of white guys and one, I guess he's supposed to be Japanese. If he has the kimono and the katana. Or more, that's more like it's not really a katana. Or like more of a long sword.
As George Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah, this is a Gorosei member. Yeah, it's these guys. These old white guys.
Now in One Piece and real life,
look like fucking Mr. Monopoly and shit.
The Empire of the World exploits
evil
people
as
with
fuck.
less
Look like a bunch of robber barons, basically.
Power to protect their class position and reinforce their wealth with taking more and more. That's why
and a guy like this is a celestial dragon from their home. Like there's a hometown of celestial dragons, and they all wear these weird sort of astronaut helmets or fish tanks on their head because they don't want to breathe the same air as the peasants, and they ride on peasants like they're fucking livestock, like they're horses and shit.
Valley, the celestial dragons play a rabbit hunt.
Yeah, these are all celestial dragon fuckers. They're all evil and wear this garb.
Where they hunt the island civilians.
They're all rich people.
Population as rabbits for fun, but more importantly because the island has valuable, ample natural resources to capture afterwards. The profit is primary while the fun of playing this sick, inhumane game is secondary. In our world, as you watch this video, Israel starves, kills, and suffocates the surviving Gazan people because they want the land. That's why they made the land unlivable. If it's unlivable, the people of Gaza will have to leave. And when they leave, they can take it and build up their monstrous, bloody empire in the Middle East. But unlike our world, One Piece does not have
These
the
are
technology.
slaves. These are all slaves that they're showing right here. Slavery is a big subject in One Piece. And it's still a problem in parts of the world. Hell, you could say we have slavery still in this country. It's just been, obscured by the prison system. You get people being arrested for the slightest of offenses, or right now they're not even using straight out crime anymore. They're just using, well, you're an immigrant as an excuse to just lock people up and send them to like slave labor prisons, or just being brown. Like we're gonna arrest you just for being brown. We don't care if you've lived here all your life and you're actually a citizen. We're gonna arrest you anyway. If we don't think you have rights, brown person, we're gonna abduct you anyway. Like we are the people who don't want to release the Epstein files. This is the shit we just support. We supported all that abducting and human trafficking shit that Epstein did. So we're just gonna expand that in a bigger way for our Nazi agenda, okay? For our slave labor in general, and not just the escort scene.
Built
not
into
just
the
children.
World that these atrocities are viewable.
But
in
they are
those-
still arresting children too. Like I pointed out in Chicago, they arrested some children. They were naked and shit. It's fucked up. Didn't even let the kids have clothes.
To all. It's pre-internet in One Piece, and telecommunication is primarily reserved for the military, the navy, and the wealthy. People in One Piece are extremely isolated and stuck to their islands that they were born on. That is why people become pirates. They risk their lives to see the world for what it truly is.
That's the reason why I get why it's all islands in One Piece now. It's to paint a allegorical or an analogy, a political analogy. It makes a lot of sense now.
in pursuit of their dream. In our world, this Holocaust is live streamed to our phones, show us directly what the material conditions are in their small piece of world, locked into walls with rubble everywhere. We all know it is happening, and still those with huge voices remain silent. In One Piece, Big News Morgan cranks out propaganda whenever the information is sensitive to the goals of the world government. It's played up almost like it's unrealistic, but Israel's actions of maintaining an apartheid and genocide and an occupation on stolen land, the way our news has covered it has shown that that was not an exaggeration at all. You could even say that Oda is downplaying the level of manufacturing consent that we see in One Piece.
Yeah,
and
manufacturing consent is a term for, like, you know, promoting atrocities and rebranding it as you know, a necessary good, or actually for a defensive act. Yeah, genocide is defensive. Okay, those children were going to harm us if we let them live. They had to go. They're Hamas terrorists, or Hamas put them there just so we could take the blame for killing them. All right. We weren't trying to target children, but Hamas, they did it like a substitution jutsu and replaced themselves with children to tank the attack, the bomb strike we did on this conveniently a kindergarten, a school for children. I mean, we thought Hamas was there. We didn't think children would be there, and we also bombed, you know, a neonatal segment of a hospital and destroyed the entire thing eventually. But you know, when we shot some pregnant women, but you know, that's because of Hamas. That we didn't try to do that.
Learned about this very
We just thought it was a fat Hamas man.
secretive plan to turn Gaza into something called the Gaza Riviera, which is where they're going to put in all these expensive, luxurious condos and high-rises and more shit that's destroying the planet, where they can go spend their money while they just siphon more and more money from the people that work their asses off every day, while inflation goes higher and higher and higher, and their wage barely creeps up, if it creeps up at all. They want to kill every single person in Gaza and build this disgusting, make a mansion. The Israeli finance minister said on Wednesday, 9/17, that the destruction in the Gaza Strip could be turned into
This
a
poor
lucrative
kid.
real estate opportunity.
This is the responsibility he has to adopt now. They probably, both their parents are probably gone for all we fucking know. He has to become the parent now. Or that's probably their only family left. I need to follow up on this. This is the type of realistic scenarios going on there, though.
Echoing past remarks by President Donald Trump.
The real scenario, not realistic, these real scenarios.
Is another flagrant violation of international law. He says it's going to turn into a, quote, real estate bonanza. And that is who they are siding with when they say nothing. That is why I'm so fucking pissed. That's why I cannot...
They too bougie to say anything. They don't want to fuck up their own bag.
stand these creators that won't say anything. I'm pissed at the people that jump on news and political...
Yeah, oh, they had to get these guys, though. Well, they had to get them for that hummus take. Oh, yeah, it was so offensive. Oh, my God. Good thing we got rid of them.
Issues for quick views and yet have not said shit about Gaza for 2 fucking years. Don't give me your bullshit excuses. Have some fucking integrity.
Yeah, that's that long October 7th shit that happened. Yeah, it's been 2 years now. It's October right now. It's almost about to be October 7th. So it's almost about to be 2 years now. All that awful shit that Israel's been doing since then has been going on.
Oh shit! For any fans of these people who are upset with how I'm talking about them, get a fucking life. Literally touch grass. They don't give a shit about you.
Hey, everybody look at me. I'm 1 part robot and 3 parts asshole.
Yeah, I'm not looking for any pats on the back from these motherfuckers. I don't like them. I don't find them to be valid, to be honest.
And I know that because they don't give a shit about Gaza, which means all they give a shit is about themselves.
Yeah.
So you parasocially defending them here in my comments is peak loser behavior. They don't know you exist. They don't give a shit about you. The people in Gaza who are dying every single day, who are being starved to death, have infinitely more in common with you than a rich ass influencer who could stop working tomorrow and be completely set for the rest of their life.
They got enough money. They could retire. They have more money than most people do when they retire. They don't have to do this. They don't have to stay silent. But they're that greedy. They don't care.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this. I know it's not the funnest video.
They'll like morally grandstand against you though if you want to bring it up. I don't want to talk about politics here. I can't believe you're ruining our safe space. You're ruining our safe space and you don't even have to bring it up. You'll like if you just say something in response to their comment on the subject, because they'll bring it up eventually on their own. But it's always the worst take ever, and then you call it out. They'll say, well, I don't want to get political. Like, what the fuck? You brought it up, motherfucker! I've had this same scenario happen multiple times whenever I'm like in these fucking streams or anybody's doing. There's no fucking integrity going on. There's no self-reflection going on. It's just... They say the most out-of-pocket shit. Most racist, white settler, colonial, capitulating shit. They don't... And then they tell you to stop being political when you call that shit out. It's... Like, I don't want to even, like... Why do we even think that we want their, like... Why do we even validate these people at this point? They're shit. They're scumbags. They deserve to fail. A lot of them are losing, you know. I mean, they could just retire anyway, but still, like, a lot of them are mad that they're not making as much money as back during COVID either. And that was already the telltale sign. When I hear these motherfuckers complaining about, oh man, it was so much better back during COVID. I had all this money. Then you already know that's a bad sign. You already know that these are awful people and greedy people. Alright, anyway, I'm done. The video. I just wanted to finish this. But this is good people. We need more people like this. Not those white moderate people who just roll over for Nazis and apologize for them. I couldn't believe that they did they did damage control for Charlie Kirk and said we need to feel bad about him. Like, feel bad for him. Like, what? No. Not one word about them children in Gaza or even them children who got shot here. There was a shooting that happened, or multiple shootings that happened when Charlie Kirk died. A bunch of children died. Not one word about that. We got to defend the Nazi, though. We got to make videos about that. We love him. He needs a holiday. Like, all right. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. Take care. I need to do this sometimes. I don't always do a stream like this, but, you know, I got to do it for my sanity sometimes. Until I get the fuck out of this country, which is going to be soon. Take care.